There is a sixth sense beyond that which is known to man. It is a sense that is as sought after as the Holy Grail and as precious as immortality. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and entertainment, and it lies at the pit of a man's fears and the summit of his genius. This sense, of course, is a sense of humor, and this is Sense of Humor TV.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Sense of Humor TV with your host Auguste DeRose-Jones. Today we have a really awesome guest, my comedy godfather in Los Angeles, Sean Porter.
What's up, everybody? What's up, Pittsburgh?
Yeah,
What's
Pittsburgh is
cracking?
definitely going to be listening.
I'm happy to be here.
I know
All right.
the LA will know when Sean Porter's name rings out. People come and listen, so we'll definitely have some LA Pittsburgh crossover here.
Absolutely.
No, I am really excited to have Sean as our second guest here. This
motherfucker's been telling me about this podcast back in January, man.
Yeah,
Glad to finally get this shit rolling out.
Yeah, it's been
we can cuss, right? We talk
yeah,
shit.
yeah. Swear, and you can tell all kinds of stories here because that's what Sense of Humor TV is. It's just make people laugh. So if you think it's gonna make people laugh, then we're good.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad we're getting this done, man. I'm excited to be with my boy.
Yeah, 100%. I have a bunch of stuff to ask you that I've literally been waiting to ask you until we did this pod. So I'm super excited to shoot it. And from the rip, just to give you guys some background on how I know Sean, when I started doing stand-up out here in LA, Sean's open mic was actually the first mic I went to.
It's crazy.
I accidentally went to the audition of Flappers, and then he was hosting the mic at the bar back then.
Yep.
And I had Wonder Upon it. Right then, I was like, this is a fun mic. It was a little weird that night.
Oh, yeah, that was the one mic where we just had that weird – every comics know what we were talking about. It's just that weird mic.
We had some people off the street that just say some –
Right, some transients, some older people.
Yeah, some interesting characters there.
I think at the end of that mic, I think I said, I was like, lessons learned today. I said, I think we need to have an age cutoff.
Oh, I'll never forget the lady that was so weird off the street. I swear to God, she went up there and she was bombing, and then she had the audacity to go. The thing that got the biggest laugh that she said, she goes, I just want you guys to all know I'm bringing comedy back.
Right. Oh, we love the fucking open mic.
Yeah, so... So anyway, I met Sean there, kind of. I mean, I saw him like host and do his thing, and was impressed. But then I was like, I don't know if I'll ever, hit that mic up again. It was a little weird. It was whatever. And then our buddy, who's also a comedian, Ray Lau, was hosting the show that I got booked off from that audition. And he was like, hey, weren't you at that mic this week? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, it's usually not that weird. He's like,
yeah. He's like, come back, bro. It's not. It was like the one off. You came to the one. We were like hitting it out the park, like week after week after week after week. And I told my co-host at the time, Oliver Wong, shout out to Oliver.
Shout out Oliver.
Another comic and porn director.
Check out both of his.
I was like, yo, we're bound to have that weird mic. It's like, we're due. Like, it's
happened to be my first one, too.
It was like the earthquake out here. It's like, we're due, bro. It's like, we can't. And, yeah, it happened to be your first one, but I'm glad you came back the following week. Man.
Yeah, I came back, and then it's funny. I'm pretty sure the second one I did was the one that Paul Rodriguez was at.
Yeah.
So it went from like night and day. It was like, oh, this is the best mic I've ever. This was one of the weirdest mics I've ever been to, and then this is like the best mic I've ever been to.
And this is awesome because we have legend Paul Rodriguez wanting to stop in and do 5-6 minutes because our mic's cracking, man.
I was so new back then that like when they were like, oh, you can't record or can't do anything, I was like. I snuck a thing of Paul Rodriguez. I was like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I think I used that pic
too.
Which
now is like me and you. Yeah, I think you posted your story and then you followed me, and then that's how I kind of really started talking to you. But fast forward now, I guess that was back in November, December, and it is now almost August. It's July 29th.
Yep.
And man,
we're finally up and running.
Yeah, we're finally up and running with the pod.
You're out here hitting the comedy scene, doing your thing. You had the movie come out. Booking gigs out here, bro.
Hey, this is about you, not me. Right,
oh, okay, sorry. I'm just saying, I'm happy. I'm proud, bro. It's like I'm always happy for my boys, man. It's like sincere happiness. I just tell this motherfucker all the time. I'm like, look, man, you're a year, 2 years in, like you're already ahead of your peer group and what you're booking and shit, what you're doing. Like, just
I hope
keep
you guys
fucking
aren't
grinding.
watching the YouTube right now because I'm blushing. So
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like, seriously, because, like, I don't know, people don't understand that you got to be out in these fucking streets and, like, work, you know? Like, I have comedy friends who are in my peer group who are just sitting at home playing Xbox, being selective with the gigs they get and shit. Like, oh, this is a shitty venue. Like, oh, I don't want to do this gig. And I'm like, yo, are you waiting for the fucking comedy ferry to
we're only like we talk about all the time.
knock
like,
on your door?
only going to stuff that they're booked at. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
exactly.
Not meeting other comics that way.
Right. Like, I tell people all the time, like, comedy, like, yeah, wait, it's LA, bro. Like, even when I'm not working, I'm working. You got to be out here meeting other bookers and shit like that. So it's like, you know, August gets the hustle. Not
Yeah.
everyone does. And I think that's why we clicked early on. You
No,
know what
I
mean?
agree. Like it you know, that's one thing I've been like, you know, not passively searching for always is like someone that was like, you know, had the same mentality as me. Like that was one thing when I was in Pittsburgh, I learned like pretty early on. I was like, if I actually want to make anything of myself in this industry, it's not going to be in this city, unfortunately. Like the people
Yeah.
who are really good that are still there, I'm always like, why are you still here? Like go to New
Why are you
York,
still
go to
here?
LA, go somewhere. Like
It's you got to get called up to the majors. You're in the farm system right now. You're doing really well. But, you know, you got to go to the big leagues.
I would love to have been able to make it there,
Right.
but it's just not. It's not reality. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it just
exactly. It's just
yeah.
not reality.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, same thing to Sean. I mean, this guy's. I mean, he not only works his ass all day at an office, but then he goes and does. You know, not only hosts mics, kills mics, does shows all the time, goes to the store and hangs out. Like, I mean, does shows at the store. I mean, it's the grind is definitely one of the reasons I wanted to have you on as one of my first guests because it's inspiring and it's been fun to like become your friend over the last 6 months for sure.
Appreciate you, man, bro.
Yeah.
I am getting no sleep right now.
Oh,
I am running on
I mean,
all drugs,
you had
all performance enhancers.
just the other night, like just the last time I saw Sean was on. This is Friday. We're shooting this, and Wednesday night he had the
Triple
mic.
header,
Yeah,
yep.
Mike he did it at 5, and then a show
The
or then a
show.
host that he showed at Flappers at 7:30, and then another show that he did in Hollywood at 10.
Yep.
So, and that's just a weekday.
And then I was back on the grind at the job at 7 a.m.
Yeah, right. That was the fastest I've ever seen you dip. You're like, peace. Like,
bro, it's
yeah,
like,
you're like
I
later
had
August,
something
later
right
Tess,
now.
later Willie, later Chris. I'm out.
yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Facts, man.
But
It's insane, man. It's the grind, but I fucking enjoy it. I love doing this shit, dude. I will, you know, I'll do shows fucking for free, for fucking change. It doesn't matter. You gotta love this shit, cause like I tell August, I tell all these comics all the time. Like for me, you see it. I mean, if you're passionate about something, the money will come. If you're passionate about something, right? It's people who have it the equation reversed, who are thinking, oh, I'm getting into this to make money. If I'm getting in this to make money, that's a recipe for disaster. You gotta love that shit, bro.
yeah.
You gotta be passionate about that shit. And if you're passionate about something, the money's gonna come.
100%. I remember, and like most comics, one thing I love about podcasting is like getting to hear comics talk about like that, you know. And most of the comics I like really respect all have that same kind of mindset too. Like I remember Bernie Mac was the first one I really heard like passionately talk about that. One time he was like, if it's especially in something like this where it's an art form and you gotta like it's not like you know, me and Sean both come from sales, and like that is something that like if you could be bad at it but still good enough where you can make a living off of it. But comedy's not that way. Like if you don't love it and you're not, you know, you got to have the talent and the hard work, and when those meet,
that's the equation.
100%.
Just like sports, you know, Augie and I are big sports fans. We get it. It's not you got to have the determination and talent. It can't just be talent. You got to have this shit in here and the talent. That's the recipe.
one or the other will only carry you so far.
Exactly. Will only carry you so far. You can only, what do they call it? Imposter syndrome.
Yeah,
It'll
seriously.
only take you so far. You know?
Um,
And we don't, you know, we don't have a pair of tits. We don't, you know, I don't have a pair of tits to get me into them places.
so this is a good transition. I feel like you guys. This is
Not to
this
be
is-
misogynist, but I'm just saying it's a pair of tits could get you in the door sometimes a lot easier.
That's
That's
how
all
I got
I'm
in the
saying.
door, was just
But
the
if you don't
smile.
love that shit as a female, if you're not about and you're not the talent, the looks will be there. But if the talent and the determination is not there, then yeah, then eventually you'll get, you know, forced out.
Since this is a good transition, actually, and if you're watching and listening, this will be a treat for you as well, because these are actually going to be my first genuine reactions to some of these questions. I've been waiting this long. You think me and Sean are this good of friends? I should know some of this stuff, and I've been waiting to ask him some of these questions for you guys. So enjoy it. That will bring me to my first question. What made you first want to get into stand-up or like go up?
Bro, it was a fucking dare. On a dare. Shout out to my boy Jimmy Fox. Jimmy Fox is one
Is
of
he
my
the Dago that
closest
you were
friends.
saying?
Yeah, one of my closest friends, my closest homies. He's also in entertainment. He's in the biz, and for years, we would just talk shit.
Shout
all
out
the
Jimmy, my
time,
fellow
and-
paisan.
That's right, exactly. And like I've always been a fan of comedy, growing up in my household, and everyone was funny in my family, but never pursued it, like really pursued it until a few years ago. And my boy Jimmy's been trying to get me up on stage for years. Like, bro, you have to get this shit on the stage. Everything that you say, you always killing rooms and shit, always talking shit amongst all of us friends and homies. You gotta get on stage and talk this shit.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally a dare. So what mic was it? Might have been the mic at the haha.
Do me a favor and just move your mic to the side like that, just so I can see your
where
face.
am I?
Other way.
This way.
Yep, like there.
That way.
Perfect.
So it might have been, I think it was a mic at the haha. And then I went up and just told jokes that I would normally tell. Like I used to tell, like when I was out, back when I was single.
I love hearing comics' first jokes, because I'm the same way, where I look
Right.
back and I'm like, you have those ones where you're like, all right, I'm glad I
Yeah.
did. Yeah, but
Like back when I was a bachelor, I was single. I'm wifed up now. But back when I was a bachelor,
Sorry,
on these
ladies.
streets, we used to be at the bar talking shit, and they'd always be like, "Oh, what are you?" And always talking about how I'm mixed and shit, right? Like black and Asian.
yeah.
And my thing
For those listening, Sean is half black, half Asian.
yeah, and then my thing was I used to tell the girls like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm only Asian from the waist down." And they'd be all like, that was like, right? And they'd be like, no, you mean the other. And I was like, no, I said what I said.
Oh my god.
Right? So I used to talk shit like that, and always just,
Next time we're with Ray, you have to tell him that joke.
okay.
Who was on the first episode? That is 100% his humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, don't worry, ladies, I'm only Asian from the waist down. That was my go-to line.
Oh my god. That's
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And the ones that got it, I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna fuck with you all night.
That's so funny.
And
yeah.
then 90% are like, huh? What?
Yeah.
You know what
The
I
half
mean?
that wants to find
Weed
out,
'em
you're
out.
like, that's
Right, exactly.
that is hilarious.
So I used to talk shit like that, and I used to, like tell real life stories about just growing up black and Vietnamese out here in Los Angeles, and the stupid shit you go on in my family.
How'd it go the first time? Was it like good enough, or was it like
It was good enough.
Did you really like?
It was good
okay.
enough, but here's the thing with me: I grew up playing sports my entire life, and I played ball. I played ball in college, and just the competitive athlete in me just carried over to comedy. And so I was always a fan of comedy, and I did a couple mics, but then I was like, you know what? Like, I want to get as good as these guys, the other guys that I was seeing that are going up. who had a few
Especially
years.
like you started in LA, so you probably saw some people who were pretty decent.
Exactly. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I got to get better at joke writing.
Mm-hmm.
I got to figure out what the science of joke writing is. Right? So another one of my homies, his name is Mark Gonzalez, and he's a comic that tours all over. He's from LA. He referred me to a comedy, what do you call it, either teacher or workshop comedy guy. His name is Greg Dean.
Okay.
And Greg Dean has like 40 years in the game, has worked with everybody. Robin Williams. Greg Dean's name is on the wall at Comedy Store.
Oh, okay, dope.
So
Where does he do classes at, or where did he do classes at?
Santa Monica
Okay.
Monica Playhouse.
Okay.
I think. I don't know where he's at now post COVID. It's been a few years. But he's great. And what Greg does is like I say, you can't teach funny, but what he does is reverse engineer with all the great ones that he wrote with and worked with, and like what the formula what makes them fun, and he reverse engineers the science of joke structure. So he'll teach you
Interesting.
structure. He's not going to teach you how to be funny
Which is and
because you can't teach funny, just like you can't teach speed.
and I feel like a lot of those classes try to do that, which is like why they stink.
Why they stick.
Mhm.
That's why there's a huge what they say comedy workshops or getting with comedy mentors or comedy class is a polarizing topic amongst comedians. Because you have one side that, will go and do that and that, prefers doing that and working in a classroom setting. And then you have the other side of comics who are like, fuck, you don't need no class. If you're in here from the beginning, then you're not a comedian. You're not
no better way of learning than to do
right.
it.
But you know who else Greg worked with? Your boy Anthony Jeselnik.
Really?
Yeah, he's worked with, guys that are out heavy hitters.
I know Anthony will be watching, so shout.
Right. And so he's really good at teaching jokes. So I
Interesting.
went and I worked with him.
Oh shit,
And
dude! Oh shit! You know what just came in my head?
what happened?
So when Jeselnik was on Rogan, he talked
Uh-huh.
about how he read that dude's book,
That's it.
and then
that's
and then
him.
that's what
great.
made him
Yeah.
come out to LA and fucking.
Mhm.
Wow.
And then
Okay,
he
that
worked
was
with him
just
when he came out here.
that just blew my mind. And
Yeah.
and that interview was one of the things that got me to like move down to LA.
Isn't that crazy how like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon that shit is, like how small that world is, like how
And then like running into him at the store, like wow,
running
that
in the
is
store.
weird.
But then your boy, who what I'm
That's
saying, and then
crazy.
I know the same guy that he worked like.
That's wild. Yeah, because I remember he said he read his book when he was or he was working at Barnes and Nobles, or no, what's the other place? Borders that closed.
Borders, yeah.
He was working at Borders or whatever, and he like came across the book and read it, and then it was like, if you want to learn more, come do my comedy class out in Los Angeles, like in the back of the book.
Yeah, bro.
That
And
is
so
wild.
It was I
How long
dove
ago?
in.
How long ago, or how long between like you going up for the first time to like going to that class?
It was fair. It was like pretty quick, bro.
Pretty quick?
because I got my competitive juices. Like that's why I won't play golf. I can't play golf, bro. There's not enough time in the fucking day because I know me. Because I know as soon as I go with my boys and I go play golf, and one of my boys says anything, just talking shit, that's it. I'm in. Because I
Yep.
can't suck at anything. I can't be shitty at something. Then I'm buying clubs. Then I'm at the fucking golf course every goddamn weekend.
That's
then I'm
funny.
driving. Then there goes the rest of my weekend, the little time that I do have. So I refuse to play golf because I know me.
When you meet my girlfriend, it's gonna be because she won't golf with me because she's like, I can't just like me. I'm the opposite. I'm out there smoking joints, fucking drinking,
Yeah,
like not
right,
giving a
just
flying
not giving a
fuck, and
fuck,
she's like
right.
all competitive, and I'm
Yeah,
winning,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I was like,
As soon as one of my homies say
Yeah.
something, I'm like, no, it's on. Now I have to be good at this.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, I refuse to fucking play golf. I might do that in like 20 years.
That's fucking funny.
But it was so that was the comedy bug, and then as they say, then eventually you get bit by the bug, and then I got bit by the bug, and then I just bought in, and I got fascinated because I've always been a writer, and I did a few acting gigs here and there, but comedy was like the lane that I've always fantasized about, romanticized about. All of my heroes I grew up watching were comedians, not actors.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
That's funny you said.
So I jumped in, bro.
That's funny you said writing, though, because I started as just strictly writing. That was it.
Mhm.
I was working, at the Penguins, had no aspirations to really do anything like this. But when I was working for the Raiders, I had so much free time because I had no friends that I like literally just started writing a TV show.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend read it, and she's a sports journalist, so she's like writes all the time. But she like read that, and she writes about like facts, not fiction. Where it's
Yeah.
like I came up with my own world with characters, and she read it, and she was like, I had no idea you could do this, and then that's
Yeah.
what kind of she's like, this is what you should be doing, and then
It's
that's
an art, man.
yeah, and then that's what kind of transitioned into whatever else.
Mhm.
But like, if anything else ever does come from this, you can definitely say I'm self-made because I was straight up background freezing my ass off in a Seth Rogen movie in minus 20-degree weather, like to not even barely be in the movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like shit like that, and like
I
whatever.
fuck with dudes like that. That's those type of guys I fuck with, man.
Yeah, going from background to at least doing an indie feature, co-starring, and then same thing for comedy. I told you the story about I don't think I talked about this last episode with Ray, but one of the first times I did stand up, not the first time, but one of the first times I literally had the Penguins hockey game projecting on my face. Like they had a projector on my face.
On your face as the game's
going on. Like, there's a puck going across my forehead. I swear to God. And I'm like, this is I remember. So when I first did my first mic out here, was at Flappers, and I was like, this is nice. Like
Right, yeah.
And then everyone else is like, this is a tough room. Like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, this
there
is
are, Dave Chappelle talks about, comics who have a brittle spirit. There are a lot of comics who have brittle spirits that let shit like that, like, they'll comics that will just never go up on stage again. They get one bad experience or one bad set or one bad venue. You saw that shit on Wednesday that we did, how weird that 10 o'clock show was.
Yep.
Don't fucking matter. You push through. That's all practice, dude. Like, if you let something like a projector like on your face, or like when I did my first gig in Atlanta and I bombed in front of an old black church crowd, like bombed.
Oh my God.
If you let something like that sway you from your dreams, you didn't really want it in the first place, bro. We're all gonna, as a comic, it's a marathon. We're all gonna experience weird, bad sets.
I mean that is true. Like you have
No
to
one's
be,
gonna bat a
you not
thousand.
only have to be like what you said, like you can't only be thick. You have to definitely be thick skinned, but you also have to be thick spirited. Kind of like you can't like let stuff get to you, which it's going to every once in a while. But the people who really do make it are the people who don't let it get to them to a point where it actually affects their like work.
I equate it to, I go train. I box at Wild Card Boxing Gym, where Freddie Roach's gym out here in Hollywood,
Dope.
where Manny Pacquiao trains and shit. I've been going there for years, and I just do club shit. I'm just a club fighter, spar. I spar with all the kids and the people in the gym, and we'll see dudes come in the gym and spar one time and get worked. Oh, that's my phone. Sorry about that.
That's all good.
And get worked over, and then you never see them again.
Kills their ego.
Kills it. Crushes them. Right? Like, what'd you think? You're going to come in and just be Mike Tyson? Like, as soon as you walked in this fucking ring? And then I see guys who go get worked over. Like me. I used to get worked over all the time, bro. There's a 60-year-old man who used to whoop my ass. You know what they called him? They called him the Humbler. They called him the Humbler.
I love that.
60-year-old dude. My guy Mike. He was an art teacher, bro. But he had 35 years. He was one of the slickest boxers. But he hunchbacked over. It looks like he's never lifted a weight in his life. But he was so
So you're probably like, I'm gonna whoop this motherfucker's ass.
Yeah. So they'll put newbies in with the Humbler, because Freddie wants to see how they do. And we'll see guys who then get worked over, bloody nose, everything. But then the next day come back, and I equate that to comedy. Like we're gonna bomb. We're all gonna bomb eventually. It's gonna be a horrible set. It's gonna go wrong, and all your jokes that were crushing the night before are going to go on crickets and deaf ears for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah.
And there are comics who never come back from that shit. And there are comics who are like, get it. And like, yeah, all right. I went 0 for 4 tonight. But it's baseball. It's not football. It's 162 games. Tomorrow, I'm going to go 2 for 4. Tomorrow, I'm going to hit for the cycle.
I always think about that too, because I didn't like, was my first time going up. It's not like I murdered or anything, but I did well enough that two of the other older comedians, because like I made the mistake of telling the MC like, this is my first time doing comedy, so he started fucking with me before I went up, and then but the thing I got so much adrenaline, which talking about sports, it was the first time since I stopped playing sports that I felt that.
Yeah, you're a geek. Like
I sprinted.
Kickoff.
I wish I had a video of it. I sprinted out the front door.
Yeah.
I like put the mic on the stand and ran. Ran out the front.
Right.
And then there was a dude.
This geek.
And I was out there, so like adrenaline. And some dude came out to smoke a cigarette, like one of the other older comedians, and he was like, lights it up, and he's like, leans up against the wall. He's like, that was your first time? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, just keep doing it.
Right.
And then I was like, I'm now even more, because I didn't even need to hear that.
Right.
And then I went back in. I was like, I'm gonna get a beer now. So then, and then one of the younger like ish comedian, but he was still probably like 10 years older than me at the point. He was like, he was saying basically the same thing as that guy outside. And then I was like, I'm gonna keep doing this.
No, you guys, August is a cool customer. That's another reason why I fuck with him, because he is cool under pressure. When the blitz is coming, you got people in his face. Just cool. Doesn't panic. He's always chill up on stage and just cutting people down. And then just like like high school or college ball, whatever, what bonds teammates together is like when a fight breaks out. And then you find out what boys, you know what I mean, who's just down to ride with you.
Yep.
And then when you experience that too, but it's comics, it's like, all right, this is my guy. All right, this is my guy in the trenches.
Yeah, I mean, shout out all the Pittsburgh people who are listening to this. It's funny you said that, because like, I kind of always had like a reputation for being clutch. You know what I mean, in sports. So and like whatever. So my nickname was Dead-Eye DeRose.
Dead-Eye DeRose. I like it.
And like Pong. Last cup, I'm always gonna
Yeah.
hit. Basketball, like
I'm last cup guy in Pong too.
Uh-huh.
I'm last cup guy
last
in Pong
cup,
too all
and like
day.
when we hoop, if it's like game point,
Yeah.
like I get
I
screamed
got
out of the court, like get on.
I got it. Yeah.
I'll hit it. Like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I remember like
love it.
we were flag football championship. And I caught the game-winning touchdown on the back of the end zone when we were down like 28-0 at halftime, like shit
Yeah.
like that, right? So yeah, I feel like it does equate to like that when you're on stage and like,
Bro, I say it all the time. I used to tell my girl, my cousin Justin, all the time. It's like when the lights are the brightest is when I take it to
bring it
another
to it, yeah.
level.
That was like we've talked about it, but I wish you were there for my Pittsburgh show because it was like, well, the lights are bright,
right,
yeah.
and you showed up and you balled out. That's
Yeah.
for me. That's when I take it to the next level. Like my first comedy store set, my very first comedy store.
I've been sweating.
Can I tell you that? I don't think I told you this. I had fucking food poisoning the night before, bro. I was vomiting and shitting the night before my first comedy original room set.
Oh my!
And
God.
I'm on the toilet until 4 or 5 a.m. And my girlfriend is freaking out. And I'm yelling to her. The door's open, and I'm yelling to her, this shit ain't going to stop me from going on this fucking stage. I don't give a fuck. I will vomit on the stage. I was like, don't worry, this is not stopping me.
I had food poisoning once, and it is miserable.
Miserable. Because it's coming out both ends, bro.
Oh, dude, I was the sickest I've ever been.
And I was literally...
I was off chicken. Was it chicken?
It was fucking Fat Burger.
Ugh.
It was Fat Burger.
Mine was fast food, but it was fucking... I'll never eat KFC again. That was like when
Yeah.
I was 12. Still, I never ate it since.
Never should have Fat Burger at fucking 12 at night or whatever.
God, bro.
And so I'm going through it, bro. But I was literally like, this ain't
was it
stopping
the
me.
was it that Vargas Mason show? Is that it?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. It was Vargas' show, and Sally Mullins hosting my comedy godmother, Sally Mullins. I love that woman to death, and she's hosting, and she's been in the game for forever. And I was like, no, there's nothing is stopping me from getting on this fucking stage. And I went up there, and I fucking rocked it. Killed that shit.
Hell yeah.
And you go up on that OR. I can't wait till August goes up fucking store.
I'm gonna be.
Cause I tell him all the time, he's gonna feel it. You feel that energy is what got me like up. And what they call, I think Patton Oswalt refers to it as stage health. The thing the comics called stage health, where if you literally have the flu, halfway dead, viruses, doesn't matter. There's this thing that kicks in that when you go on stage, all of that shit goes to the wayside. Whatever ailment, whatever you have, and like you just perform. They call it stage health. For that, however minutes you're working, like you can be halfway dead with the flu, but like you go on stage health, and then because it's the adrenaline. It's the. I
couldn't imagine like one doing the store, but also like being that sick doing it. Like that's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Because I'm pissed. I'm like, of course I got.
Of course.
The day before my first Comedy Store set, I'm shitting and vomiting, and I'm like, nah, fuck this. I was like, fuck you, God, or whoever's up there. I was like, I'm nah, bro.
I would have been so bitter.
Yeah, I was like, you're not stopping me from getting on this motherfucking stage. I don't give a fuck.
Oh, dude, fuck yeah. So,
dope.
This is another question that I literally just thought of today, because I didn't think about it today. I thought about it on when you were doing that show Wednesday, and you do that. I don't want to ruin the bit, but you do that bit about how old you are.
Yeah.
I never asked you how old are you.
Yeah, I'll tell you off the stage.
Okay,
I'll tell you off. I'll tell you off podcast. I'm not old. Here's the reason why I don't tell people my age, because people some people think I'm too young for where I'm at.
Yeah.
And
I legitimately don't know. So when you were doing that joke the other night, I was like, wait, I don't fucking even know. I was like, I was pissed. I was like, wait, I don't even.
I'm not too far from that.
I figure.
I'm not too far from it.
But it is whatever you are. It is true. Black don't crack, Asian don't raisin. So there we go.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And I remember I was at the store, so it was like my second or third time going up at the store. I was getting up regularly right before COVID, and then COVID just killed all my fucking momentum. I was talking to this comic who I won't name, who's a paid regular there, and he's like, hold on a second, how long you been doing comedy? He goes, and this is you're going to the original room. You're going on stage there. You've been doing comedy for that fucking long. He goes, dude. He goes, what dick did you suck? He's like, I had to wait 7 years to get on this fucking stage.
He was pissed.
And he was pissed. He was hating on me. He's like, and they started like going in like, oh, whose dick did you suck? Did you suck? And I was like, bro, I'm literally just by merit, bro.
Yeah,
like I suck no dicks, bro. I kiss no ass, bro. I don't play that politics shit.
I've said before, one impressive thing about Sean is he does treat everyone across the board very the same.
Yeah, bro. You see, like, I don't need to kiss ass. It's like, but yeah. So it's like, so there's that thing too, because other old heads, when they see a young dude coming up.
Oh, I've already experienced.
You've already experienced that.
I've already even like in the and like I said, Sean's my comedy godfather because he has helped me with a lot of my opportunities out here. But it's also like me. He realizes he's not wasting his time on I'm putting in the work on my own. So it's just one of those things I think. But no, I definitely I've experienced because I'm such a person that like I'm not that way. So I get so like, did I do something? Did I say? And then I'm like, oh no, they're just hating.
No, they're just haters.
Yeah,
that's it. Just hating. It's bullshit.
So I guess staying on the comedy grind, you said some of your like heroes or comedy people. Who is like your number one like comic guy?
Damn.
Or girl. I it's hard to pick
current,
one.
Dead, like I have like this.
I have more questions later on about that, but I'll say who's your top three?
Like Mount Rush. I'll give you a Mount Rushmore.
Perfect. No order, just Mount Rushmore.
Mount
Four.
Rushmore.
You get 4.
Chappelle, Carlin. Damn. I wanted. You know what? I would throw in Conan O'Brien because I grew up watching him, but he's not a stand-up.
I love how much you love Conan. Just side note, because I grew up like, is Conan being my late night guy?
He's like my Dave Letterman,
dude.
How my heroes talk about Dave Letterman. That's me and Conan.
When I did that NFL Honor Show, he hosted.
Yeah.
And I was geeked about it, and I was like the only person that was geeked about it, and everyone else was like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, it's Conan O'Brien. Like, this is fucking awesome. Like,
that guy's one of my fucking heroes. But I'll say, Chappelle, Carlin. I watch all of Pryor shit.
Chappelle, Carlin, Pryor. I like that. It's a good 3.
And I'll give you someone like current like, I love rock. Of course, I love rock. I love Patton Oswalt. I love Bill Burr. I know I'm in 5 now, but I have so many like that I love. I grew up watching Super Dave Osborne,
dude.
That was like my first foray into comedy.
I was on Xbox today talking with my buddy Hunter about shout out Hunter. I was talking to my buddy Hunter
Bob
about
Einstein.
Have you seen his episode on Norm's podcast?
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it yet. It's hilarious though. I've seen the clip.
He's appalled the entire time.
Right.
Like he just everything Norm's saying, he's like, you can't say that.
Yeah.
Like
I listened to him when he died. I listened to him and Gilbert Gottfried, another guy that I love.
King of Too Soon. R.I.P.
On Gilbert's podcast, and them sharing stories.
Gilbert loved to just say what he shouldn't say.
Yeah, exactly. I fucking love Gilbert too. It's like I don't know. I have so many, but I think those are like my top guys, man. Like, cause I have such my sense of humor is very diverse, just like myself, just like my music. It's a very diverse sense of humor, but once you're in comedy long enough, it doesn't matter the type of person. It's just the stories and the jokes and all of that. You'll start finding a through line between all these guys. You know what I mean? Like Patton Oswalt and Chappelle could be the furthest from, being similar to comics, but you'll find their joke structure and how they talk and riff and their stories are very similar because again, there's a formula to comedy that you find over time.
Yeah, like you having Conan on your list is kind of how I want to have Jim Carrey on my list, where he's like he started as a stand-up, but like people don't remember him as being a stand-up, but like he's but like if I had to pick 4 that isn't Jim, because Jim would be on there, but if I'm pick 4 that are just more known for doing stand-up, it's
Jim Carrey's not from this planet, by the way.
Oh, dude, he's
from another.
Him and
planet.
Jamie Foxx are like the 2 that just don't make sense. Like their talent.
There are people like that.
Yeah.
Bro, like Jim Carrey, Robin Williams,
Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx, like just from another,
Yeah.
like Prince. I tell you, Prince was not from this planet.
No one
They're-
before or after could do that. No one's
that's
ever
what I'm
like, this is the next Jim Carrey. This is the next Prince.
No.
Like, they don't exist. Like,
Yeah, they don't exist.
Yeah.
They're from another planet.
No one's like Robin.
They're Martian, and
Yeah.
they're just here for a limited amount of time, and then they go.
So if I can't have Jim, it'd be Red Fox.
I love
Just because I grew
Fox.
up on that's the first ever comedy CD. My dad
Yeah.
played a Red Fox record, and
Oh,
I
love
was
Red
on the floor, bro. And I used to watch Sanford and Son. And
I love. I used to watch that.
Yeah, I'm probably the only white person in the world that watched Sanford and Son. But Red Fox, Richard Pryor, Norm, and
I love Norm. And Norm again. Also, Norm's on my list. You know
Yeah.
how much I love fucking Norm too. That's what I'm saying. I can't just have a four.
Dude, but on
like-
Norm's podcast, he's like doing all these jokes that are just Bob is just he's like I can't be here.
Yeah.
And the one that's the funniest, he's like a gold chain would be a very good present for a really, really good slave. And Bob's face is just mortified, dude.
Right,
He's just
right, yeah.
mortified. He's like, I want out of here so bad. Like, it's
So here's the awesome thing. Here's the through line. Here's how close the community is. So Bob Einstein, before he did the Super Dave act, he used to be the showrunner for Red Fox's show. It was a
Really?
show after Sanford and Sons that he did, I guess, for ABC.
okay.
So Bob Einstein worked closely, like Red was his boy, and he tells
Never knew
stories. He tells stories about Red Fox working with him on Gilbert's podcast, but like other podcasts, he'll tell stories too. And he has a story about how Red Fox, like one of the first meetings they had, as they're getting the show together, pre-production, as he goes in Red's office, right? And Red turns like literally like supervillain, like he has his chair turned around, and he turns around.
Like Dr. Evil.
Yeah, right. And he's like Red Fox, his whole fucking face is just coked out, just powder all over his
Oh my
fucking
God.
face, right? Powder all over his nose. and Bob Einstein's like, Red, you have white stuff all over your nose. And Red Fox is like, oh, that's what happens when I eat powdered donuts. And he talks about how he used to go get him. He'd be late for, you know how you have to warm up the crowd
100.
before a show?
Mm-hmm.
He was late to that, and Bob Einstein goes knocking on his trailer, and he walks in his trailer, and he has Red Fox has the makeup girl literally sitting in his lap, like her legs hugging his
Sitting
face,
on his face.
sitting on his face, and Red was like, "I'll be right there." like Red was a fucking savage.
I think that's
Red was a savage.
I think that's why I was so like attracted to like I loved Red Fox was because I knew him as Sanford and Son, right?
Mhm.
And then my dad was like, "Oh, you think this is what he's
He
like?"
like, yeah,
And put on
the
his tape,
records,
and I was just
which you were way too young to be listening to.
'cause my dad.
But I was exposed to shit like that too when I was.
and I think it's probably because we had older siblings. Where like
Yeah.
my dad always just assumed I was as old as my older brother,
Right.
but I wasn't. He's like 3 or 4 years older than
Right,
me, so
right.
he always was like, "Oh, you're his age."
Right.
And I wasn't. Like I remember I went to go see whatever year I think it was the second American Pie came out. We went to a drive-in and saw the first two back to back.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like 7,
Right,
8,
right.
and I see this dude fucking a pie and like,
Right.
these fucking girls
Shit
with their
you should
tits
not have
out and
been
shit. And I'm like,
exposed to, yeah.
what is going on? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I grew up young in that sense for sure. But like,
Yeah, man. I love I used to watch old Carol Burnett episodes with my mom.
I was
And
gonna-
Carol Burnett is hilarious. She's from Los Angeles too.
side note, so. Were your parents ever together or no?
Yeah. I come from a broken home.
Me
but,
too.
But
Another reason we're probably friends.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And they split up when I was like 6 or 7.
Okay. So
by
you
the
remember
time-
them
I'm
being
the
together.
youngest of 4.
But
so
you have memories of like you guys all
Yes.
being okay.
Yeah. By the time I came around, like they were already on the outs. Like they were already like over with the
My
fucking
my parents got divorced when I was 2, so
Yeah, I was like 6
they
or
had me
7.
and they're like, this was a bad idea.
Yeah, right. And so yeah, they were already on the outs. But I have 3 older siblings, and yeah, no, I do have memories of them together. None of them nice or happy or affectionate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I tell people all the time, like I grew up in a household. I did not know what affection was. There's no such thing as affection in
You
my
didn't
household.
come home for like a big I love you family.
There was no
None of
such
that?
thing.
Interesting.
I had a tiger Asian mom and dad, who grew up in Detroit and is a military leatherneck cop And that I grew up with that. There was no, and then they fucking hate each other. There was no affection. Like I didn't know what affection was literally until I got to high school. I started hanging out like, cause I went to private school, so I started hanging out like my white friends and like their families and shit. And I was like, what is all this love? Like, what is this? Like, what? This is weird. Like, what?
See, I loved. I'm not even talking about it. Like I love talking about this kind of stuff with people because like it's always like I'm always like, oh, like my parents got divorced when I was so young, but I am lucky that they came from such terrible childhoods that they were like, we want to make sure that you're like at least loved, and they stayed friends with each other because of it, even though I knew that they were going through their own shit, like obviously they got divorced, but they in front of us were always friendly.
Right. Yeah. I wish I could say the same. No, they was fucking, they were always around. What's a good thing is that they. My parents tried the best with the resources that they had, but my dad's dad was a piece of shit to his family, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. And you know what I mean? So it's like, so it's that
it can always be worse, which is like,
it can always be worse.
It's not a good thing to say, but it's like that thing that kept me alive. That like just talking to people and being like, oh, like because then I had a stepdad and it was like, at least my stepdad was cool. Where like I had friends who were like their stepdads were abusive and terrible and fucking pieces of shit. So like it. And I remember side note, but we're gonna get back. Side note: the first time I bought weed in California, I bought off this random dude who we became boys. I used to get him his son tickets to the Raiders for free. I used to give them my tickets, but we ended up smoking a blunt on the beach, and we were talking, hi, whatever. And I was saying, he was like asking me about my life or whatever, and I was like telling him how my dad died when I was young and stuff. And he was like, "Did you guys get along?" And I was like, "Oh, my dad was the greatest dude in the world." Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, at least you have that, because like I never knew my dad, and like he didn't want anything to do with me. He's a piece of shit." Right. So I'm like, I never before that moment was like, I'm lucky to like have, it's kind of that like, is it better to have had and have lost or never had at all?
It takes work to put shit in perspective.
100%. Right. So that that took me down memory lane, definitely real quick. But back to what you were saying. So neither was like that kind of.
Yeah, no, at all. But they were, I was going back and forth as a kid between my mom's, my dad's.
Did they both live in LA?
Yeah, both live in LA. Yeah, still live in LA. Both retired now. But yeah, so is that so? When you come from a broken home as a kid, you're forced to grow up a lot faster.
Way faster.
Especially if you lose a parent.
Yep.
You're forced to grow up a lot faster than most of the kids your age.
100%.
I
always say I have two different lives, before it happened and after.
And I've always, thought about this. Like, does it help what we do?
Yes.
Stand up. I think it does.
I think it does.
But I listen to Jerry Seinfeld, who I also respect and I love, and we share the same birthday. He's also April 29th. And he talks about how, like, no, I grew up a fine upbringing, parents, all that stuff. My life wasn't a disaster. No, you just got to work at it and be great. That's it. Like, that's his take. Like, you don't have to go through what Patton Oswalt was to say. Tragedy plus time equals comedy. That's the equation, right? Tragedy plus time equals comedy. But Seinfeld's whole thing is like, no, you don't have to. You can come from great upbringings.
I agree, but there's a reason he wasn't on either of our Mount Rushmores.
Right.
It's not my kind of comedy.
I'm on the other side. I think that like Rich Pryor grew up in a fucking whorehouse, bro.
His mom was a whore and his dad was a pimp.
How can you not find comedy from that? I mean, like,
That's why I love. That's why I think I love, and a lot of people love Tim Dillon right now, because he's like, his mom's schizophrenic. He grew up in like he's like had such a fucked up life that it's like, it's funny that he doesn't. It almost, when something bad happens to you like that, you go one way, or you take everything really seriously, or you don't take anything seriously.
Right.
And I love the comments that are
so
like,
bad that you find the funny in that. And that forms you.
Jim Carrey, same thing.
Same thing, right? Like, I think he had a depressed mother
and his dad died. Like,
his dad died, and he had a depressed mother that he wanted to.
His dad lost his job. Like that. So again, side tangent, but actually, what got me to actually finally like do it? Like, it was my girlfriend telling me that, but it was also like Jim Carrey came out with that documentary Man on the Moon, and he says it in it. His dad like could have been like a famous trumpet player. He was like, that's what he was trying to be, a musician.
Right.
And he settled and
decided to settle and
got fired.
Right.
And then we're homeless.
Right.
And he's like, he destroyed him because he's like, I could have been homeless being a trumpet player. You know what I mean?
Can I give you one degree of separation from that Man in the Moon, the movie, and then the documentary? My late great piano teacher and mentor,
I always forget you fucking play piano.
Norman Mamie, wrote the score to that movie.
Really?
And he had an amazing story about him sitting down playing piano one day, just in between takes, and Jim Carrey comes on, and I forgot what the song he was playing, but just Jim Carrey just picks up a microphone and starts singing as Norman's playing. I forgot what the song he was playing, and just like blew the house down. And it was just impromptu, like for all the extras in the audience and shit. And like him and Jim became close and all that. And yeah.
I love hearing shit like that.
Yeah. I grew up in LA, so it's weird because when you grow up in LA, like, it's really not name dropping. You're just a product of your environment, and so you're just around.
You're around
famous people, and this is a normal thing. You know what I mean?
100%. That was like the same thing when I was working for the Raiders. I'd be telling stories about players, but it's like I'm around them all the time. So
you're around them.
Yeah, it's like I don't have any friends. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. So
yeah, bro. Like and then also Norman was dedicated. This guy's a Grammy award-winning pianist and composer, and he had a horrible marriage too because I don't know. You want to be a 9-to-5er and just be all about family, or do you want to pursue your dreams? And sometimes something has to give. I don't know.
This just came to my memory when you remind me that you play piano. I love that one time we were at Cole's show and there was that piano in the background. I was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if someone ran up there and started playing piano? And you're like, yeah. And then I was like, you play any instruments? And you're like, piano. For whatever reason, like, because it was dead, it was like quiet in the room, and I was just like, I just started. That killed me because I was like, you had told me before that you played piano. I just fucking forgot.
Yeah, man. I mainly play.
I don't
play as much as I want to because I'm so fucking busy. But
was that your mom making you, or was that like you wanted to do it?
Yeah. I played as a kid, and then I stopped. I was like, fuck this. I want to go outside and play sports and do all that. So I stopped, and then I picked it back up again as an adult.
Oh, okay.
After college.
Interesting.
Because my piano, I have an upright piano, and it was sitting in my dad's garage.
Can you read music and shit?
Dust. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
I can.
Do you speak any other languages?
I try to sight read.
No.
Just that.
Okay.
And just enough Spanish to holler at Latinas. That was my thing in LA. And it was just sitting there, bro, collecting dust. And I just moved into my apartment, and I got it tuned and all that. And then I linked up with Norman Mamie, and then I was playing there. Now I don't have enough time. I literally just play for my own mental health. Like, I wasn't trying to. Like, I have friends who are musicians, like, oh, bro, we got to form a band and, like, gig and, like, start jamming and shit. I literally just play for my own mental health. I don't play as much as I used to anymore because I'm so busy, but I do sight read just to keep up my skills.
Yeah.
So.
That's cool.
Reading music is like reading another language, bro.
I always like wished I could, and I tried, but it just I told you before I'm dyslexic, so it just never. It's one of those things where like you have to be able to it's like comedy. You have to be able to have some talent and do it. I had no talent, and I couldn't do it. So I was just like, I guess music's out for me.
Well, I was always envious of people who can learn by ear and pick it up. I was always trying to be a student of it. I don't think it didn't come that natural to me, so I always had to work at fucking reading and picking that up.
My two cousins, they're my older cousins, like my mom's cousins. They're both like two of the nastiest guitar players I know. Can't read music. They just they learned everything by
That's
ear.
what I'm saying. I hate that.
Crazy. But they were back in the day where they would just like sit by the radio and they that's what the fuck they did.
Yeah.
But it's wild, and they kill, and I'm like, damn. Like the one was in Kid Rock's band back in the day. He's the one who sucks. But he was in Kid Rock's band. He played like the steel guitar, which is like one of the hardest instruments to play.
Let me ask you this about comedy fucking legends. Where do you rank Eddie Murphy?
Eddie's like the all-time. If he would have kept doing it, he would have been the greatest ever. Like if he
Eddie is to me, I equate him to Bo Jackson. Eddie's
great
like
comparison.
the Bo Jackson of fucking comedy.
That's a great comparison.
If he would have stayed healthy, like Bo, you know what I'm saying? Like you're right. It's a once in a lifetime, once in a generation dude.
Literally.
And it was a short career, but within that short career, though, it was insane.
He was like he was kind of like I don't even know what to compare it to. He was like
He's a rock star, bro. He literally turned comedy into a rock. He turned into a rock concert. He became a rock star. I think I was the first comedian that turned comedy into rock.
You ever hear his story about I think he told it at the Mark Twain Awards the other year about Bill Cosby didn't fuck with his comedy.
Yes. Yeah.
And he was like I was real distraught because Bill was like my hero, and so he said he called up Richard Pryor and was like, hey, like, because Bill was against people swearing, which what a hypocrite.
Right.
He was against people swearing.
Yeah.
And and he's like and he was like real distraught. So he calls up Richard, and Richard's like, he's like, well, are you selling tickets? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, are people laughing? He's like, yeah. He's like, you having a good time? He's like, yeah. He's like, and tell Bill to have a Coke, a smile, and shut the fuck up. I'm like, that is so but again, like Eddie's one of those people. So I feel the same way about Jim Carrey. Like if he would have kept doing it, he was the only one that was a little like Robin Williams, just a little bit. Like they were so that weird, like no one could do what they were doing on stage,
bro.
But I'm glad that they did acting. Maybe a little more with Jim than Eddie's acting career.
Yeah.
But like I'm glad that they did acting because like some of those movies are amazing. But at the same time, it's like, God damn, you were the best. Like
Chris Rock says till this day, like you hear him in any interviews, he says that Eddie Murphy's still the funniest guy in the room. Till this day.
I bet.
He's still the funniest guy in the fucking room. And there's rumors before COVID, right before COVID happened.
He was gonna go back up.
He was making his way back, bro, and they were gonna shoot at the store. He was gonna start getting up at the store, and they were gonna shoot his fucking special at the store. And he was gonna start getting up.
I couldn't imagine.
Rumors like he was getting ready to go, and then COVID happened, and then
because his specials still like that's when specials still hold up like that long after like that's why I think Richard Pryor is one of the greatest of all time because the Sunset Strip special is one of the funniest fucking things I've ever watched in my life. Like still now, like some of these people's specials they're funny at the time, and you watch them like 2 years later, and you're like none of this is relevant. Like
I watched Delirious with my girl a few months ago. Again, because I haven't seen it in so long, right? But we're students of comedy too, right? So we study we study all this shit too. We're taking class. Within the first 10 minutes of Delirious, Eddie runs off 8 impressions. It was something like 8 fucking impressions, and he's like 22. I'm like, this I can't this is like this. I'll never this is next level. I was looking at her like this is insane. Like people don't understand. He pulled off 8. He just reels off 8 fucking impressions.
He's like thinking of him is like thinking of, like you were giving a comparison earlier. He's like Biggie or Tupac, where it's just like it ended so quick when he was so young.
So
it's
quick,
like,
but it was like
because most comics aren't that funny until they're like fucking 40. You know what I mean? Like, they're that funny, but they don't have that. They're not that polished as he was.
No, it was that. It was just a fucking meteor, bro.
Yeah, it was just yeah.
Insane.
I mean,
I would give. I'd love to see him go back on the stage again, man. But like. Yeah, dude, it was, right. I literally counted. It was like something like 8 fucking impressions that he rattles off. I'm like, insane, bro.
He was
next level shit.
I just watched Delirious over the pandemic too again.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I was like, wow.
Count them. Yeah. Watch it again. Watch the first 10, 15 minutes and count them, bro. Like, what the fuck?
That's, it'll never happen. He'll never happen
won't.
again.
I'm telling you, it's Bo Jackson. It's Bo Jackson.
Yeah, Bo. Yeah, that's a great comparison. Him and Bo.
You'll never have a guy ever again that plays a full season of baseball, makes the All-Star game in baseball, and then comes in week 7 to the LA Raiders, and then goes for 1,000 yards, and then makes a Pro Bowl.
While we're on the subject,
week 7 in baseball shape. Baseball shape. No training game. Baseball shape.
Do you think he's a better athlete than Deion Sanders? Bo, obviously, I'm talking about.
It has to be Bo, dude. Because here's the thing. Deion was a solid baseball player. I think he was a good platoon guy.
Yeah, he was like, get him on base and he'll steal bases. And like.
But Bo was literally their cleanup.
Yeah.
For Kansas City Royals.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. I agree. Like, they're both, I think, football-wise, pretty equal. But I'd give the nod to Bo for baseball.
Yeah. I think if Bo would have just played football. You know what he said on an interview once? This is almost made me cry. I was so mad.
Bo
He's like,
Jackson?
yeah, Bo. He was like, you know what? If Al Davis would have drafted me right out of college, because Tampa Bay fucked over his NCAA eligibility. He couldn't play baseball because they flew him out to Tampa Bay. They had the #1 pick. The guy flew him out on a private plane, and then the NCAA said,
I can't wait to look back and see how many
you can't
careers
do
they
that.
fucked up.
And he said, that's it. You're done playing. And he couldn't play his senior year of baseball. So he said, fuck you, Tampa. And so he sat out. He said, I'm playing baseball. Draft me. Watch what happens. And he played baseball. He said if the Raiders would have drafted him right out of college, he said, I would have played football full time.
Just never play baseball.
Yeah. He said,
Wow.
I would have been a running back full time.
Yeah, that's crazy. That was one cool thing about.
He ran a 4.18.
And
I think they said, was it 4.18? Yeah, it was like 4.18.
it's like hilarious to watch highlights of him, and his shoulder pads are like 3 sizes too big for him too.
But
and, like,
outrunning everybody.
oh, dude,
And then running through everybody.
literally, his jersey ripped off his back.
He ran
Like,
a 4.18 at what was he? 6'1", 230 pounds. Like you'll never see that again, bro.
the old heads that when I worked at the Raiders that would talk about him were just like they were just
Like
amazed.
right, yeah, like everybody
Yeah, everybody.
from top to bottom. Like you'll never see this again.
Well, Sean will definitely be on again during the sports season. We're in the
We're football rolls around. Yeah,
yeah, we're in
College-
the wall of summer. So.
yeah, college, yeah, NFL, and we'll have picks too. I want to
100%.
handicap. That's another reason why I love Norm. By the way,
Oh,
he's one of my guys because he's a degenerate gambler like me.
I'm reading like Norm's book, and it scares me, like, because it's not really about his life. It's kind of about his life. But there's like stuff where I'm like, this is scary. How
He's a
similar.
degenerate gambler just like me. I love him. He says this openly. He's lost it all twice.
What's the biggest? We'll get on. We'll give you guys a preview. What's the biggest? What's the biggest sports bet? Because I know we both played poker and blackjack and stuff too. But what's the biggest sports bet that you? We'll start with lost and then won.
Biggest sports bet I've lost, I think it was $1,500 bet.
Whew.
Yeah, it was $1,500. Biggest I've won was a $3,000 bet.
Whew.
Yeah.
Do you remember what games?
Stupid.
Or were they like a parlay?
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah, yeah.
remember.
What were they?
Yeah, fucking absolutely.
What games?
I lost it was a $1,500. It was a college game. It was USC. It was my team. It was my team, USC, and it was like Oregon State.
Mm-hmm.
It was a $1,500 bet that I laid.
You were just so confident.
And I was just so confident and so stupid because I should have known that the fucking Pac-12, we cannibalize each other.
My favorite part about asking these questions is because you're so sure before, and then after you're like, I'm so fucking stupid.
So
Why?
sure.
How did I even think that?
So sure. And then 3,000 was Super Bowl. It was Tampa. It was Brady beating the Chiefs.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Money line.
Wow.
Money line. I was like, hold on a second. Are you telling me that the Chiefs have like 3 linemen out against this number 2, I think, defense? I was like, and Tom Brady's the underdog?
I do have to say
there are many men who've lost thousands and millions of dollars betting against Tom Brady.
I do have to say that was one of the worst officiated Super Bowls I've ever seen in my entire life. That
Was it a bad officiating?
dude, the Chiefs had the most penalties in a Super Bowl history in the first half.
Oh shit! Why don't I
And the
remember
one that was the worst one was the Tyrann Mathieu. They called pass interference on a pick that one, the ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. There can't be pass interference, and 2, he didn't touch him. And then the next play was a touchdown to Gronk. Was like the first touchdown or whatever.
Maybe. I was so.
Who cares because you won?
So euphoric.
Yeah.
That
I just remember watching him being like, I hate. Obviously, being a Steelers fan, I hate Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So like, I was just like, here he goes again, getting.
No, I went straight money line, bro.
Yeah. But funny enough, biggest bet I ever won. I don't know if it actually now today is the biggest bet I ever won.
Oh shit! You won over $1,000, bro. I remember you. Didn't you win over $1,000 or some shit?
Yeah.
Did you hit the parlay?
Yeah, I hit a bunch this year that were like crazy. I did the best I ever had in this football season by far. But
yeah, you're insane. Here's my degenerate gambling rule to all you degenerate gamblers out there. Okay, 3. That's it. Go 3. Parlay. If I parlay, I don't do more than 3.
I hit a 15 leg this.
Yeah, I know. This is insane.
I hit almost. It was pretty much every single game from a whole week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I called right. Anyway, But at the time, the biggest one that it felt like to me, even though I think I might have done more at this point. Because I was in college and I didn't have a job, and I was like, if I don't win this bet, like I'm probably not gonna be able, my bookie's gonna be
be on the
pissed, right?
street.
Yeah, literally. I had a bookie, so I was like, oh, I'm fucked. So it was the first time. This is not true anymore, but at the time, it was the first time ever in a Super Bowl that it was a pick'em,
Yeah.
and it was Seahawks Patriots when
Seahawks,
Malcolm Butler picked it off the goal line.
Yep.
Bro.
That was a pick'em game. That's right. That was.
It was the first time in Super Bowl history it was a pick'em.
Yep.
And I had won the week prior on the national championship game, and it was the Ohio State Ezekiel Elliott Ohio State team versus Marcus Mariota's Oregon team.
Oregon, yeah, it was Ohio State, Oregon, yeah.
And dude, that was the easiest bet I ever made. Ohio State was 14-point dogs.
Right.
I took the 14 points.
Yeah.
I sat there and chilled.
That's easy.
They won
That's
by
easy
like
money.
5 touchdowns or something.
Right.
So I put all the money I won from that game plus more on the Patriots to win that
Yeah.
game. So when they get down the goal line, I'm like, oh, Marshawn Lynch is getting this ball. I'm losing all this money. I gotta leave squirrely because this bookie's gonna break my legs.
Right.
And I'm fucked.
Yeah,
and then literally, I mean, then they threw the ball and the rest is history. And I was going crazy. I mean, I was going fucking crazy.
By the way, the year before that, I put 500 on the Seahawks money line when they played Denver. Denver was favored. I put 500.
I bet on the
Seahawks
Broncos that year.
You were Broncos? Yeah, I knew the Seahawks were getting.
The worst ever was I bet heavy on Atlanta when they were up 28-3. I
Yeah.
did that. Talk about not betting against Brady. I fucking made that mistake.
Oh yeah,
Dude, I made that fucking mistake.
you hear a funny David Spade tells this funny story about Norm, about how Norm was always aloof with his friends. He was just an aloof.
Are you gonna tell the story I'm thinking of when he showed up to the bar? Or no.
No. This is a gambling. This is a gambling
Okay,
story.
go ahead.
So like randomly, like Norm texts oh no, I think Dave reached out to Norm first, and a whole day goes by, right? And then Norm texts Dave, and I don't do Norm. I don't do impressions, but whatever. He was like, hey Dave, right? And Dave texts back. He's like, yeah, Norm. And then 2 hours goes by, and he goes, hey Dave, you want to make some money? He replies, is like, yeah, Norm, I do. Right? And then an hour goes by, right? And he's like, you want to make the most money you've ever made in your dreams? Yeah, Norm. Another hour goes by. It's like, you want to just walk into a car dealership and just pay for a car cash? Yes, Norm. Yes, I do. Right? And then another 2 hours goes by. And then Norm goes, yeah, so bet the over on the Chicago Blackhawks first period.
Oh my god, dude.
I was like, I think the game had already started.
It was over, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, the fuck, Norm. I love that shit.
Have you heard the story of Norm of what the fuck is his name? Dude's he's in all the Adam Sandler movies. Nick Swartzen.
Swartzen, yeah.
He brought this up on Norm's podcast. He's like, Norm, do you remember doing this? He goes, you hit me up the one Sunday, and he was like, hey, what do you like doing? He's like, I'm going to the bar to watch the football games, right? And he's like, oh, cool, I'll meet you there. So he's like, I watched that game. I watch a whole nother game. I watch a whole nother half of the other game, and at halftime, I'm like, it's 8 o'clock at night. He hit me up at noon for the games or whatever, right? He's like, I'm fucking hammered. So he's like, I get up to leave, and as I'm walking out down the sidewalk, Norm starts walking in. And he's like, hey, where are you going? And
Right.
And he's like, home. I'm fucking shit-faced. And he's like, well, I just got here. And he goes, yeah, I know. I told you to come 8 hours ago.
Right.
And he goes, well, don't be weird about it. Get a drink with me. And he's like, no, I'm going home.
But he was just like that with all of his boys.
Right.
That's just who he was.
I love it.
You know what I mean? If you're gonna be one thing, just be consistent.
Never drove. Didn't have a driver's license.
Yeah, didn't have a driver's license.
Psycho.
Just be consistent, right? He was just consistently like that with everybody.
I love his answers. Well, I just got here.
Right,
It's
right.
like, yeah, I know. I invited you literally 8 hours ago. I watched 2.5 games, football games.
Piss break, real quick.
All right, we will be right back in a few minutes. Some words from our sponsors. All right, we're back after a
Yes,
quick
sir.
potty break.
Before we get off the topic of gambling, can I tell you what my bucket list gambling? You're gonna go with me. This is my bucket list gambling dream when I'm gonna do like real soon.
yes,
I might be a year or two from this.
I can't
I've
wait.
been
to hear it,
talking about
honestly.
this for years.
I haven't heard it.
This is my bucket list.
This is my first
you
time
ready?
hearing it.
All right.
Exclusive Sense of Humor TV bucket list.
This
gambling.
is what we're gonna do. March Madness, opening week. Okay, opening week. We're gonna go to Vegas.
Do me a favor. Come this way and
Oh,
put the
shit.
mic that way, other way. Like,
This way, right
yes,
here.
Perfect.
All right. Opening week, March Madness. Okay, we're gonna go to Vegas. I'm gonna blow 15 racks that weekend. I'm going all 15 in one upsets. I'm going 11-5. I'm finding I'm just gonna blow off. I'm gonna blow 15 racks that Thursday through Sunday in Vegas. Betting opening week March Madness, bro. That is and we're just gonna go out there and just fucking have a blast. I'm
Oh my
just gonna
God.
blow 15 racks.
We have to do it the year that USC and Pitt both make the tourney.
When they make the tournament,
Yeah,
that
both
is.
of them make the tourney, and we'll just fucking go.
I think I'm a year or two from it.
I'm with you, bro. It's crazy how fucking close and cheap Vegas is to fly.
But Vegas during March Madness is insane.
Is it?
It's the best fucking
I
time.
was there last year, like football season, and it was
Yeah,
fucking fun.
It was fun, but like especially that March Madness, that opening week,
I bet.
when everyone's finding that fucking 15 seed upset in the bro. It was like my boy Jimmy was like, because he's like, yeah, I'm down, I'm gonna come. He's like, he's like, I'll bring like $5,000. He's like, I'm gonna do $5,000.
This shouldn't be funny, and it's not funny, but it's only funny because we're comedians. Did you know that the number one like weekend of suicides in America is March Madness?
March Madness? I did not know that. That's fucking hilarious.
Isn't that fucked up?
Oh, even better.
Sorry, but
But even better.
that's why Vegas doesn't have windows.
right. Yeah. Vegas, yeah. Vegas. All those fancy hotels weren't built off of winners.
No. Oh,
It
no.
were not built off of winners at all.
No.
No. My boy Jimmy's like, but all right, we're gonna go. But he's like, are you gonna do your research? I was like, research? The fucking what's the fun in research?
The more research you do, the more you lose.
Are you kidding me? No.
Hell no. The most research I do is that little CBS bracket where I get to see the little description.
Nah, bro.
I won a
15 racks. I'm
first year
blowing it.
First year I worked for the Raiders. My coworker was like, "Hey, you want to be in our March Madness bracket thing?" Dude, it's now up to like if you win now, it's like you win a couple grand. But back then it was still like if you win, you got like close to $1,000.
Yeah.
Now it's like a couple grand. First year I was in it, I fucking won it.
Nice.
I picked the national championship game, but I picked it wrong. But I was the only one who picked. It was It was that awesome half quarter Jalen Brunson.
Oh yeah.
North Carolina, Villanova. I picked
Yeah.
North Carolina, but I had it Villanova, North Carolina, and I won like $900 off of that.
Nice.
And it was sick because it didn't matter who won, and I was gonna
Right.
win. But those are both my squads because Villanova's a PA team, and I love North Carolina because of Jordan. So
Yeah, I've always hated Duke.
yeah,
I've
the
always
funny
been
thing
pro
is like
North
I liked
Carolina.
Coach K, but I never really liked Duke. You know what I mean? Like I never liked any of the players that came out of Duke. I never really liked Duke.
I fucking hate them.
Yeah.
They're on the level of Notre Dame with me. I can't do. I fucking
I just
hate
liked Coach.
I can't.
I just like Coach K from his USA stuff.
I respect Coach K.
Yeah.
Of course I do.
Yeah.
Of course I respect Coach K.
yeah.
And his and his Team USA. And,
But he
you know,
never had any sick players. Like don't get me started with Jason Tatum now.
No, I hate the Duke to
Hey,
me. Duke to me is Notre Dame.
Speaking
That's why.
of sports, can we stop comparing Jason Tatum to Kobe now after that finals performance?
Oh God.
Jesus,
Fuck
criminy.
you, Boston fans.
So
who literally tried to compare. Okay.
yeah,
Just
not even
because you have a tattoo with a Mamba
yeah,
doesn't make you the Mamba, bro.
100%. I like that he's your favorite player, but like please,
He's good.
please stop comparing.
He's good.
yeah, Jalen Brown's
Okay.
probably better, which they're not on the same team.
Yeah, right.
When Kobe was on his
Right,
team, no one was
right.
ever like, "Oh, this guy's better,"
Right.
and then maybe Shaq, but like they weren't the similar style at
Yeah.
all. But,
You know, Miami Hurricanes are my second favorite college team, next to my
Really?
Trojans.
and that's just from like
And
us
literally
growing up
the
and then
reason
being
why it's because I was like, what team is the exact opposite of Notre Dame that I fucking hate so much? I was like, oh, it's these Hurricanes.
I'm
that
sure you
show-
heard about that dinner too that they had, right?
Yeah, that's right. That
Yeah.
show up in
The
fatigues and like the swag and all that shit. I was like, oh, they're the exact opposite of this fucking shit ass.
You
I was like, I love the Hurricanes.
did you watch like the Trojan War documentary?
Yeah.
I was gonna say my girlfriend always quotes the Lendell White line
I was
when he's
there
like-
during that. I was that run is when I was.
when he's like the only one we hate more
there.
than Notre Dame is the Boosie LA Bruins.
Yeah. I was there during that entire run. I still can't watch that game. Although it was a great fucking game. Right? They do.
Were you talking about Texas?
Yeah. Don't they say that's still the most watched
I
college
believe
football
it, dude.
game?
I believe it. That was, dude. And did you see Reggie Bush? Vince Young is the man because he apparently the NCAA tried to give Reggie's Heisman to Vince and he wouldn't accept it.
Oh, that's respect. That's
And-
respect.
And he's like, I'll always fuck with Vince now because of that. He's
That's
like,
respect.
and he's like, the thing
Why?
is that Vince didn't even tell me it was. I guess Reggie's UCLA coach was friends with the Texas
Mhm.
coach, and he told him, and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah, strip his Heisman national championship because he tried to buy a house for his family.
and
yeah.
look what's happening.
so
now.
smart, NCAA. That exactly. That's what I'm saying.
USC just bought the best player from Pitt from like
That's what I'm
since
saying.
Larry Fitzgerald.
That's what I'm saying. Right.
And this guy,
Right.
like, it makes.
But you're gonna take his Heisman. And
I was trying to say that earlier, like,
fucking
like,
house.
I came from. So when I was in high school, Terrell Pryor was
oh yeah,
bro,
Terrell
and
Pryor was the
that man fucked. That man got fucked by the NCAA more than any player in the history of sports. Like more than Bo Jackson, more than Reggie.
What
Bush.
was it? It was tattoos.
Dude? But they didn't.
was
let
tattoos,
him,
right?
They didn't. They said they didn't let him play his entire senior season.
Right. Because it was
And
tattoos,
made him go
right?
into
it
the
was
sup-
It was stupid shit like
It
that.
made him go into the supplemental draft.
right.
Do you know how crazy that is? He would have been a first top 5 pick. He got picked in the 6th round of the supplemental draft. That's like a gazillion dollar difference. Start there, and then 2 goes to like the Raiders, who at that time were at the most dysfunctional. I think that's when they had what's his name was the coach, Dennis Allen or some shit.
No, Tom Cable.
Yeah, it was
No,
Tom Cable,
Was it Tom Cable or was it Dennis Allen? Fuck.
one of those terrible coaches.
It was the year before the Raiders drafted Derek Carr.
But bro,
So I think
I'm
it might have
telling
been
you,
Dennis Allen.
like,
yeah. Tom
there's
Cable.
I told you like the Aaron Donalds, the
Yeah.
Rob Gronkowski's. Like I got to see like a lot of good athletes coming up, bro. Terrell was
Oh, he was a stud.
he was better at basketball than he was football. He could have went to the NBA easily. He would
Yeah.
sell out every arena he would go to
Yeah.
in Pittsburgh, sell it out. And he was the all-state sports athlete in more than he was in.
Yeah.
It was the first time it was.
He was like the next LeBron.
he
Like,
was in
coming up.
basketball and
Yeah, he was
football.
like the next LeBron, bro.
And dude, I'm
you know what's
telling
crazy? You know what I read? Like from I have a book about Al Davis. I love Al Davis. The Raiders are my team. Just so everyone knows out there in Pittsburgh. I know.
If you're watching
I got-
this is a Raiders
That's right.
Rod Woodson.
That's
ball right
also why my boy
And that's the plaque up
Augie and
there.
we connected. And I got love for the Steelers. I got mad respect for the Steelers. But no.
here. Give me 2 seconds for the people watching
Yeah,
on YouTube. I meant to put this hat on when he first got here, and I forgot.
Oh yeah, let me see it, bro.
I got it. Dude. For the people watching, I meant to put this on. I meant to have this on the whole time, but I was going to film this promo before. This is the Jack Del Rio special right here.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that is.
That's the Jack.
Hell yeah.
That's the Jack, baby.
That's good shit. I think Ken Norton didn't
Kenny.
Ken used to rock those too, right?
Yeah, Kenny was actually the defensive coordinator
He was
when I worked
DC,
there.
yeah.
So now that you're watching, this is this is gonna be the thumbnail picture
That's
with,
the-
with
yeah,
wearing this because I meant to put this on before you showed up, but I forgot.
The last years of Al Davis, he was trying to get something done that he never got done before, and that's what kind of led to this function because he was trying to make all these moves. Essentially, one of his bucket list things was I want to win a Super Bowl with a black quarterback. That was Al Davis's. If everyone knows the history of
Such
the
a
Raiders
real
and
one.
Al Davis, he was a progressive. He was the first black head coach, first female president. He was always the first Latino head coach.
Not only
Like-
first minority coach and then
Fir-
first black.
Yeah,
he had
yeah.
Tom Flores was the first
Tom Flores,
minority.
yeah. And he was always forward thinking and always progressive. And the one thing he never got done was he wanted to win with a black quarterback. When I was growing up out here with LA Raiders, I mean, it was Vince Evans. Like Vince Evans was the black quarterback on the team. He tried to trade for Vince Young. That's what reminded me about this.
Interesting. I
He
never
actually
knew
tried
that.
to trade for Vince Young. And then that's when he drafted Terrell Pryor. Like, then that was like the last year, I believe. And then, then he traded for Jason Campbell, and then he died. But like, from what I'm reading from all the beat writers, is like that was his one thing. Like, he wanted to win with a black quarterback.
One thing that you'll be happy to know is when you get a job at the Raiders, first thing they give you is a DVD, and it's a documentary of Al Davis.
Yeah, man.
So they want you to like know, but
Right.
also hilarious. Some insider baseball. So obviously it's not anymore because they're in Vegas. But when I worked for the Raiders, it was still Oakland.
Right.
So they still had his office like he was alive.
Yeah,
And it was
Mark Davis kept his office right.
So creepy, dude.
Yeah,
It
he
was-
kept his office like that.
So
I read that.
me being a peon, I like should never have been up there. But he kept all the archives up in his office.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had to go get old film archives, you had to go into his office, right? And bro, you would have cried if you saw his office, bro.
Yeah.
Cried.
Old school.
1980s Scarface.
Right.
I'm talking white alpaca carpet. His coffee table was mirrored, so he's
Right.
doing blow in there. 150%. Mirror ceiling. A mirror ceiling, dude.
Oh,
I was
the
just
best.
in stitches. I was like,
The best.
I mean, dude, that was I was as soon as I went in there, I was just like, this is exactly.
So one thing about Vegas is that every year, every off season, he would have his birthday party. It was July 4th. He had his birthday party in Vegas, and
America.
he always had all the alumni because they say, "What's your Raider? You're Raider for life." He'd fly all the alumni.
Once a Raider,
out,
always a Raider, baby.
and they had parties. So because Al loved Vegas, so Mark grew up. They all would go to Vegas every single off season. So that was one of the things that's kind of like Mark was like, oh shit, Vegas, that's might be a possibility.
So, dude, I was in the meeting when they told us that they weren't going to LA anymore because they were so confident they were, which they should have. They have the highest.
We
they
got
had-
fucked over.
Oh, 100%. They had the highest fan base,
Oh,
bar
dude.
none.
Bar none.
Bar none. I was in all the
But they-
studies
but-
because I was in community relations, so
Yeah.
we were the first people
Stan
that down
Kroenke
here.
and Jerry Jones colluded to make sure. Stan Kroenke wanted to make sure if he was going to pay his own money to build this stadium, along with Jerry Jones, that I'm going to be first bill.
And what's the dude from? What's the dude?
Chargers?
No, the Disney dude, Bob.
Oh,
Dude,
Eisner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like backing the Raiders,
Yes.
And
They had a plan in Carson for the Chargers and the Raiders.
and I remember when he backed, like when he said he was out, everyone knew the plan, like because he knew
Yeah.
it was over, like you said, they colluded, whatever. But I was in the big meeting when they told us, and I would have you want to talk about butterfly effect shit? If they would have went to LA, I never would have left. Because
Yeah.
I wanted to always
Right.
be in LA.
Right, yeah.
So I was like, my goal was to
Yeah.
get down here anyway. And I was like,
Yeah,
if they go to LA, I'm staying. I probably would still be working for the Raiders right now.
You know, it's crazy. So they had it all. That situation was actually better because they had a stadium. They had funding for a stadium in St. Louis for Stan Kroenke, and then it was going to be the Chargers and the Raiders in Carson.
Yep.
So that was there. But Stan Kroenke was like, nah, fuck that. And Jerry Jones has his company called Legacy, and they build all the stadiums and they sell all PSLs. So they convinced all the other owners, all right, if Stan's going to pay with his own fucking money, he already knew that if it was going to be the Raiders and the Rams, he was going to be second bill. He already knew that he was going to be the Clippers
Yep.
because the Raiders just dominate up and down California. Just everyone knows.
And
That's
I
our
saw
market.
the
And you saw
data.
it.
I literally saw the data.
You saw the market. It is literally Raiders coast to coast. So he's like, nah, I'm gonna put them third.
It was
and
like
the Chargers.
60. It was like 60, 30, 10. It
Yeah.
was like literally how it was.
So he's like, yeah, I'm top bill because I'm paying my own money. I'm building this thing privately. So I'm gonna put the Chargers here, which 0 people want. Augie, I still call them San Diego Chargers. I
Dude.
refuse to call them LA Chargers.
I was just in San Diego all weekend for Comic-Con, and all weekend we kept saying it's a shame that they're not still here.
They should be back in San
100%.
Diego.
San Diego's way too cool of a city not to have.
Literally,
not to have
no one
a
wanted
team.
them in LA.
No one.
Nobody.
Not even them.
Right.
Like-
Right.
Yeah.
It's just the extra home game whenever the Raiders are here week 1, by the way.
Yeah. I went to the Steelers Chargers last year. and
It was
like a
all
home
it was
game.
all black and
Steelers
yellow.
fans. Yeah.
All black and yellow.
All Steelers fans.
Dude, week 1, Raiders are down here playing the Chargers. It is going to be a extra home game.
Yeah, and they put together a good team since coming here. I can't lie, but
Oh
it's just
no,
they
that
don't
quarterback's a stud.
have. They don't have,
Herbert's a stud.
and they got Khalil Mack now,
Mm-hmm.
which insane. Especially being someone who had been around Khalil from when I worked there. Him and Amari were such non-divas, like for two diva positions,
Right.
that you would
I
never,
know, Khalil, yeah.
you would never trade those dudes.
Right.
And they got rid of both of them.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. Like both Amari, you have to pull words out of him. He doesn't talk. And as a receiver, that's insane. You just have to shut them the fuck up.
Right.
And Khalil was just like such a down to earth, funny dude. Like I remember the first time I met him, I ate this fucking blueberry Swiss cheese. It was gross. Everyone kept talking about like, oh, look at the cheese, and I was like, fucking give it to me, I'll eat it. And I ate it, and it was fucking disgusting. And I started spitting it out, and he walks in and sees me spitting. I was like, yo, dog, what the fuck did you eat? And I'm like, some fucking blueberry cheese. You want some? He's like, fuck no. And that was my first time meeting him. We started fucking shooting the shit, and I was like, he was cool as fuck. And same thing with, like, I'll always be a huge Derek Carr fan. That dude is humble.
He's a good dude, man.
Such a good dude.
He's a good dude.
Such a good dude. Like I
got all the pieces.
I'll always be I just hate that they're in the AFC. It is sick though, and I'm definitely going to that game this year. That they're playing the Steelers for the Immaculate Reception 50th anniversary this year in Pittsburgh.
Is it in Pittsburgh?
It's in Pittsburgh.
What week is that?
It's
I'm trying to go with you.
It's like right before Christmas. It might be the day before Christmas. So.
Why don't you book a gig that week while you're there?
Yeah, right. I mean,
Just book a fucking gig.
I'm definitely going. Because I know so many people at the Raiders or the Steelers that I'll get a ticket for on the low. So.
Bro, let's book a fucking gig.
Fuck yeah. I was like, because that game is gonna. Dude, I ever tell you the story? I had that. This is it right here. Look at this. So this is a metal ticket. If you're watching on YouTube, this is a metal ticket of the Immaculate Reception game, right? And my brother gave me that ticket as a present. It's
$1?
$1, right, to go to that game. $1 back then. It was in the 1970s. Does it say on there?
Yeah, 72.
72. Okay. And my brother gave me that as a gift, right? So I put this on my desk when I worked for the Raiders, and no one ever knew what it was. No one. Everyone's just like, oh, Steelers, Raiders, cool, right? No one ever knew it was, because they would be pissed if they knew it was Immaculate Reception, right? So the one day I'm sitting there, and Tom Flores comes walking in, and I was the only person working that day. And I'm just sitting there. Everyone else, other people might have been working, but they just weren't in the thing. And he just comes in. He's like, "Hey, young man, like, do you know where I can get a program from the game this last week?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." And I remember he got so pumped because I called him coach. Yeah. He was like amazed that a 22-year-old kid at the time like knew who he was, right? So I called him coach, and he like got this little smirk. And I was like, "Yeah, coach, I got you." So I leave. I come back. That smirk is wiped the fuck off his face.
He's looking at that.
Dude,
you gave him PTSD, bro.
Staring at it, literally. And I just go, "Here, coach," and he doesn't go to take it. He literally didn't reach his hand out. He just kept staring at it, and I just go, "Here you go, coach." And he's like, "Man, you're lucky I'm not John Madden."
right.
Like,
bro, you can't. Yeah.
Like, oh fuck, you saw what that is?
Yeah.
You're the only one who's ever called me out on it. Like, I was like, shit. He was still scary too. I was like, motherfucker, you might beat my ass still.
Dude, I tell people all the time, it's like, that question, like, oh, if you had a time machine, if you can go back in time, like, like, would you go kill baby Hitler or like, I don't know, this other shit. I go, if I had a time machine, if I go back in time, I would go back to 1983 to convince Al Davis to draft Dan Marino.
Oh.
Do you know he was draft 27th. Do you know we had the 26th fucking pick? I didn't know this. I learned this shit later. The Raiders drafted Don Mosbar, center from USC. And because Al Davis was in his lawsuit against the NFL, there's an antitrust lawsuit, so he could move to LA, and so he didn't have time to actually study the tape.
Dude,
Ron Wolf was pleading with him.
The Steelers taking him as the Steelers not taking him as way worse because he's from Pittsburgh. He's from Pittsburgh. Went to Pitt. He went to Central Catholic. He went to high school I play against. And not only that, like the chief at the time who founded, he, funny enough, you'll love this. I don't know if you know, he won the Steelers in a gamble. He won the ownership of the Steelers in a horse bet, in a horse racing bet, which is just amazing. I love that. Right. But he wanted to draft Marino, and his sons had kind of already taken over the team, and they were like, "No, we're gonna let Chuck decide." Not the owner. We're going to let Chuck Noll decide. Yeah. And he was like, I want to rebuild the team like we did before with Mean Joe Green. Right. So we drafted, they called him Senor Sack. And he was like this 1-year sensation somewhere at maybe UT or somewhere in Texas. And Bro, he never played a snap for us. He got a DUI before the season ever started, severed his spine,
Bro,
and was paralyzed.
Don Mosbar made the Pro Bowl as the fucking center, but still,
Our guy severed his spine, never played a snap.
But
And they said that, and
Here's the
hold up,
thing.
Dan Rooney said that the chief on his deathbed literally said, "You should have took Marino."
yeah, bro. Dan Marino had red flags, which is why he dropped all the way to 27th, because allegedly he was doing cocaine. And I was like, are you telling me this is not a perfect fucking Raider? A guy who does cocaine and doesn't like to check
is
the
Ken
ball
Stabler,
down?
baby.
Guy who doesn't like to check the
Yeah.
ball down and does coke and just fucking throws it deep. I was like, if that's not a fucking Raider, that's the epitome of a fucking Raider.
It's Ken Stabler.
And they drafted Don Mosbar instead of Dan Marino. If Dan Marino would have been drafted by the Raiders, would still be in LA. Goddammit. Because we'd had 3 Super Bowls in the 80s. That's what I'd go back in time to do, to convince Al to draft Dan Marino.
This will be a great transition into kind of towards the end of podcast. I like to wrap, because I know we like to elaborate, so it's not just like question, you get to give answers. But I like to ask just some kind of more rapid fire questions.
All right, I like that. Excited.
And the first
All
one
right.
we'll go with is, who is your favorite athlete of all time?
Athletes. Kobe Bryant, Bo Jackson, I want to say.
Kobe's mine, you know that.
Yeah. Kobe,
I think
Bo.
the first people who tuned in the first podcast and telling you I was wearing a Kobe jersey in the first
Were
podcast.
you?
Yeah.
Damn, I should have rocked my shit.
Yeah. So, and I got him right here, actually. So now I'm 2 for 2 on the
Can I go
on
3?
the Kobe. Yeah, go 3. Because
Magic Johnson.
I was first going to ask you basketball, football.
Oh, okay,
thing,
okay.
But how about a Mount Rushmore of athletes? There we go.
Kobe Bryant, Bo Jackson, Magic Johnson, who's the unofficial mayor of Los Angeles. You know, my favorite when I was my favorite NFL player, my favorite wide receiver is always Steve Smith, because I played like I was an angry, short football player who was just angry all the fucking time on the field. I played like Steve Smith. I fucking love Steve Smith.
I was so mad when he went to the. I loved Steve Smith too, so I was so mad when he went to the Ravens. Loved him in Carolina, and like I still when he was on the Ravens, it would be like I loved him. Like I love that. Steve Smith is the GOAT. I actually got to see him at a Thursday Night Football game in Pittsburgh.
Did you? I got to meet him at the when they had the draft in Nashville.
He's a dog.
Like 2019, I think.
Such a dog.
He was a fucking dog, but he was always angry. That's how I played.
Loved it.
I was always pissed.
Loved it. You ever see that clip of him going up to Cam and being like, "Should I start DJ Moore on my fantasy team?" And DJ Moore standing right there.
No,
Hilarious, dude. I'll show it to you after the pod, but it's so funny. And DJ Moore.
He literally like punched out teammates and shit. Like he was.
Oh, dude, and like he wasn't a starter. He was a finisher.
Yeah.
Like someone started.
He was
fucking
from out
with
here,
him.
by the way. He
Really?
He started at Santa Monica Junior College.
I can see that he's got that dog in him.
Yeah.
What's your favorite TV show of all time? And this could be like when you were younger. It could be like animated. It could be real. It doesn't.
Ha! You know what my family and I did every Thursday? We sat around on TV and we watched the Cosby Show.
Really? Were you a Cosby Show family? Wow. My little brother loved the Cosby Show. Had them all in DVD. The whole thing.
Good luck me trying to go on Nick at Night and watching old episodes with my girlfriend. I can't do that anymore. Can't watch that anymore.
The hypocrisy, huh?
Right. I can't do that anymore.
I love that.
Did you see that documentary? Did you see that W. Kamau Bell documentary on Bill Cosby?
No.
Because basically I think it's a 4-parter. But
Okay.
W. Kamau Bell grew up also
Idolizing him. Yeah.
idolizing him. Like a lot of
I did
like
see
a
the-
lot of Black America
I saw the
did.
trailer. I saw the trailer for it.
Like a lot of Black America did.
Yep.
During the time of the 80s when the fucking crack epidemic was ravaging inner cities and Ronald Reagan didn't give a fuck about us and all the over policing and prison and all that shit and everything was happening.
The Cosby Show was like
The Cosby Show
like
was
Fresh
the
Prince-
one-
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah. It was the one beacon
Mm-hmm.
of like, wow, we could be normal like this. We could be successful like this. It was amazing. He was They literally called him America's dad.
Crazy.
Yeah. You never know.
That's why I
You
love
fucking
when
never
on Comedians and Cars Getting Coffee when Jerry has Norm on and he's like
yeah,
he
right,
talks
right.
about Patton Oswalt.
Patton Oswalt, yeah.
That is just
He's like the worst thing. He's like, no.
He's like the worst part is the hypocrisy.
He's like, no. The
yeah.
worst part is the rape.
Yeah, he's
That's
like, I don't think comedians are out there. Like,
Yeah. I think the worst part's the rape.
He's like, I don't think.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't think rapists are out there just being like, Man, I like raping loud. Boy, do I like getting raped. R.I.P. Norm, Jesus.
Bro, Hannibal Buress blew that whole fucking thing.
The funniest thing, I was
Sky
watching
high,
Hannibal
bro.
on Steve-O's podcast today, like literally today, and he was like, I'm not going to bring it up, but like I just want to know how sick are you getting asked about like Bill Cosby.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, that was the whole thing. Also, like being a PA dude, like Bill Cosby was Pennsylvania, Mr. Pennsylvania. Like it was Mr. Rogers and Bill Cosby. It was like,
Right.
That was literally
That's my guy, too. I love Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers is that's why another reason why Pittsburgh's the best is
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers is Pittsburgh, Bill Cosby Philly. That's why
I like
Philly,
watching old reruns of Cheers, by the way. I was a kid watching Cheers. What else was my favorite? Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
You've seen The Wire, right?
I wasn't a.
I'm not going to go on a Wire tangent,
Yeah.
but yeah, okay.
Fresh Prince, of course.
I always my favorite is probably Dragon Ball Z, which I'm a nerd, but like
I know. I never got in Dragon Ball Z, bro.
Love it.
I never got into it. I know.
do yourself a favor.
But all of my boys did.
Dude, and like it holds up as like being this old.
Yeah.
It holds up. Like it's the best. It's one of the best. But
I love Cheers.
favorite movie of all time.
See, as I say, I don't have like a favorite movie. I have like
How about we'll do this? Favorite comedy movie, and then
old school. I would
Dude.
want to say old school. That's like my Animal House.
yes, I've been saying Old School is the best comedy movie for.
I've seen it 1,000 times, and it still cracks me up.
Todd Phillips is the best.
It still
He
cracks
did
me
the
up.
Joker and he did that, dude. And I won't repeat the word because I know it's canceled now. But but the opener of that movie, the first thing that's said in that movie is when he gets in the New York
in the
cab,
when
and
he gets
that
in
is
the cab,
that's exactly the same.
I did recite that entire movie, bro.
I won't repeat it, but he says the
Yeah.
seatbelt's broken. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why I think that Mel Brooks is like one of the goats, is because like
Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles, and Richard Pryor read the script. He had Richard read the script, and he's like,
No, Richard wrote it with him, bro. He got
Well,
the blessing from Richard Pryor.
That's what I'm saying.
to use the word. And here's the thing: Richard was supposed to be the sheriff.
Really?
The studios at that time decided that he was too much of a risk and an insurance liability because Richard was fucking
Doing
insane.
drugs, yeah.
Yeah. So he couldn't cast him.
Well,
But he co-wrote it with Mel Brooks.
The thing is though, apparently, so yeah, like Mel came with him to like with the original like script and like he I guarantee they rewrote it, like he said, and he didn't have it in there. And he's like, bro, like they don't talk like this back then, and it's like it doesn't do a service to anybody to hide history. That's like the
Right.
part that we're getting scary now, where it's like people are
Yes.
trying to like, it's not even. It's the same as like whitewashing it is the same as
Right.
like woke washing it. You know
That's
what I
why
mean? Like,
how
you can't-
brilliant Mel Brooks was.
100%.
It's
It's like-
there, and then he does this thing called the producers.
And Tarantino does the same thing.
Right.
And like that's why people don't like Tarantino. And like if you ask Samuel Jackson, if you ask Jamie F. Foxx, is Tarantino racist because he had the movie with the most N-words in it or whatever? They're like, are you insane? He made Jackie Brown. He came out with a Hollywood blockbuster in the early 90s that had a black female lead. Tell me what racist is gonna do that? Like you're
Pam
out of
Grier was smoking too.
Yeah,
she was in the 70s.
and Jackie
like,
Brown's
yeah.
still holds up.
A
That's
great movie. My thing is, if you're doing a movie about the antebellum South and you don't feature the N-word, then you're not doing it. Then you're just Disneyfying it, and you're doing an injustice. He wanted to depict the exact. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is exactly how it was.
Did you ever hear Jamie Foxx tell the story about his first day on set? Oh my God! Just real quick, he just it's so funny. He's like he comes in and he's like acting like Django, he's trying to be all cool, like the cool, like cool one out of the slaves or whatever. And he said Tarantino immediately was like cut. He's like went up. He's like, I knew this was gonna be a fucking problem. He's like, you're not cool. You're not a hip hop guy. You're a fucking slave. Like he was like getting all mad at Jamie for being like Jamie. You know what I mean? He's like, you get to be cool later. Right now, like he's like just so like.
Do you know that Will Smith passed up on that? Jamie was his
Thank
second choice.
God, dude. And like I said, you want, and I know it's completely not in the same topic of being as bad, but like that shit killed me when Will, because I love Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah,
and,
me
like,
too.
Him
I
hitting
grew up on it.
Yeah, like
I grew up on Fresh Prince.
Yeah, and
that
like,
was my shit.
dude. Like Summertime came on the radio the other day, and I turned it off.
Yeah,
I was
bro.
like, I don't want to listen to this shit. Like, yeah, that Will Smith shit killed me. Because especially after, it was right after I got attacked by the heckler, which we'll talk about on another episode. But like, it was right after, so I was like, fuck him. You know what I mean? Like it was.
By the way, comedy's back at Sunset Rooftop.
Dangerous.
He's back. Dangerous, bro.
Mike Tyson's not even safe there.
Dangerous. Yeah, bro. Old school for me is like, and then like Anchorman. I love Will Ferrell. Trojan, also.
Fight on.
And but no, dude, I can recite the entire movie fucking Old School.
Dude, I went to go. The hardest they say laughter adds years to your life.
Yeah.
Apparently, like time to your life. I always say that I got like 3 years added on my life. We used to like stick a pencil in the door and sneak into 2 different movies for one. And in the same day, I saw Pineapple Express and Step Brothers in the same day. And bro, I remember someone was like, they didn't come out at the same time, and I literally pulled up my phone. They're like, look dumb. I was like, why you gotta like? Yeah, like, I'm making up that memory. But anyway, that was like one of the funniest days of my life. So that's the comedy wise. What about? Do you have any like my like if I had to pick a serious one, like I know because I'm a typical Dago, but The Godfather is like my.
Godfather's awesome.
Mhm.
Godfather 1, Godfather 2. I actually saw HBO had a limited thing. It was I forgot what they called it, but it was a couple years ago. They had the Godfather trilogy, but chronologically. It was like literally 6 hours, and they did it where they mixed it all up, 1 and 2, and they did it chronologically. So they did like, you know how 2 went to the back prequel with that. So it started with that, and then it bled into 1. And it was like switching scenes and shit. Like it bled the entire trilogy into one long 6-hour fucking movie. It's awesome.
On the last episode, Ray was telling me about that show, The Offer. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, that's supposed to be really good. I haven't seen it
He was
yet.
raving it on the
yeah.
When I asked him about his favorite show on the last one, he brought up The
Yeah,
Offer.
it's supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
People tell me about it. No, I love The Godfather. Chinatown is one of my favorite movies. That's also Robert Evans, who was the president of Paramount at the time, who made Godfather, was the producer on Chinatown.
I almost asked you the most unintentionally racist question of all time.
Chinatown?
No. I was about to be like, were you a big fan of Rush Hour? Because you're
Big fan of Rush Hour? Yes, actually, yes.
You're
I
black
was.
and Asian.
Actually, I was. Rush Hour was fucking amazing. I love that movie. Who didn't love that fucking movie?
That reminds me of like my dad. Like we would watch the first two Rush Hours all the time.
Wu-Tang Clan and Rush Hour. That's just like
I love it.
Black Asian community.
It's representation at its finest.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Do you know why? Like people ask like why like Chris Tucker disappeared after Rush Hour and he stopped doing stand up and all that shit. You know he got points on those movies.
So he probably was just a
he made like over $200 million. He was good.
Yeah.
He was good.
And that is one thing that I think about like of comedians is like, yeah, we do love it, but it's also like we all are interested in it because we don't like regular work either. Like it has to do with that, but it's also like, dude, like I grew up with like my family owns their own business and it's automotive sales. So you're setting up, you're breaking your back. Right. And like I always grew up like I was the best at it out of my brothers, and my stepdad like still wants me to do it, but it's like I don't want to do it. Like I knew I got to learn early on like, oh, an honest day of work's making an honest day's dollar, but man, that's a hard honest day of work.
It is.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Like doing stand up, I'm like, I'm not breaking my back at all. Like I'd rather break my mind than my back, you know?
Chinatown, also directed by who? Roman Polanski.
Really?
Who is
cancel as fuck.
Living it. Yeah, it has not been back to the States.
No.
Because of yeah.
Where's he hiding? Like France or some shit?
Poland, I think.
France. I think it's France.
Is it France?
Because France is like we're into all that weird shit. I failed out of French.
Did you?
Yeah. I took it and I went to my guidance counselor and I was like, hey, like I think I got to drop this. Like it's killing my GPA. And she's like, and she goes, well, you're not going to get into college if you don't have a language, right? And I was like, I'm not going to get into college if I'm failing. You know what I mean? Right. Like if I, and I remember she's like, well, you need your teacher to sign this special like form to like say that blah, blah, blah. So I go to my teacher. I swear to God, I'm thinking it's going to be like a whole ordeal. She's like, she's not going to let you out. And I'm like, all right, I'll try. I went to the teacher. I was like, hey, like, I think I'm not doing so good. Like, I think I should leave, this class or whatever. And she just goes, oh, yeah, you're really bad. Like, where should I sign? She just immediately was like, yeah, you're terrible. Like, I'll sign it right here.
Oh, man. Yeah. Chinatown. Also a fan of his movies that I can't watch anymore. I used to watch all the Woody Allen movies.
Really?
Annie Hall still holds up today as, for me, the best rom-com. The best of the best. Talk about art. You watch Annie Hall.
See, I like
Like-
to. I honestly like as a joke like to brag sometimes where I'm like, oh yeah, I never like I was not a Bill Cosby guy. But again, it was just like I don't. And again, I don't know if it's probably more of a me thing, and like I kind of like I think Curb Your Enthusiasm is miles better than Seinfeld. I think.
Me too. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
And like I never really was like that big of a.
But you didn't watch any Woody Allen?
No, it
No?
was just everything that's like very like the stuff that's great to me is stuff that's like I just not good with stuff that's like I don't know. I think it's because I my parents were divorced at 2, so it was like
Right.
I never got that like
Right,
everything
I
was
got
like I never got the Cosby Show feel at all. I was
Yeah.
always like these fucking fakes, like
Right, right,
this is
right,
not
right.
how families are, you know what I mean?
Right.
So
But
I just
because you have to grow up a lot.
that's why I loved Richard and loved Red Fox
That
and like
cynicism is something
Yeah.
that is there early that's not there for everyone our age.
Yeah.
Again, you have to grow up a lot faster.
the whitest thing about me is that I love Eminem, love him,
Right.
but it
I fuck with him.
yeah, but it's like his lyrics like may have saved my life because I
Yeah.
was going through such a hard time in that life, and I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, his life is worse than mine.
No, if you want to watch a good piece of art, I can't even say this. I'm gonna get canceled. I can't say this. I can't say go watch Woody Allen Annie Hall, but I'm saying it's good.
Yeah, 8 Mile's another great movie.
Hey, Miles,
I just thought about that when I said.
love that shit.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
You know what? I hear that question all the time, but I never actually asked it of myself.
We'll start an easier way. This is how I started last time.
What type? I don't. What? How? Whatever it takes to like pick games. I don't know to guess see into the future. I don't know.
See in the future.
See into the future.
I think Ray last time said he wanted. At first, he was like, "I want to read people's minds," but then it would be like that would be too much.
It'd be too much.
Too much.
I don't want to read
And then
everyone's
we got
mind
into like
because everyone's mind is not interesting.
And he was like, "Oh, I want to help people." Then I was like, "But if you, excuse me," he's like, "If you really want to help people, then heal them." But then you'd have people lining up for every
Here's the
country.
thing, because if you have super strength, then that's too much attention. If you run fast or if you fly, now you have the entire world looking at you. I don't want that attention.
Mine, for example, would be teleporting
Teleporting. Okay, I like that too. I like that.
because I could be back in Pittsburgh and then back out here and then.
But if I'm able to foresee the future, like the one possession that I'd want to own that I always dreamed of owning.
don't even say it. Go ahead.
Guess. Biff's Sports Almanac.
I
Back for the
I
Future 2.
swear to Jesus, I swear to I don't even believe
That
in
is
him.
my
I
my holy
swear
grail.
I swear I wish you would have said say something because I wish you would have been like just because I
I wasn't saying it.
I swear to God that's what it was
Biff's
gonna,
Almanac.
but I thought it was gonna be so obscure that you were gonna tell me I
No,
was fucking dumb.
Biff's Sports Almanac, bro.
100 every
Are
time
you kidding me?
Sean, did we just become best friends?
Yeah,
Because
we-
I
right.
literally I swear to God that's what I was gonna say. Because every time I'm such a degenerate now, every time I watch
Yes.
that movie, I'm like, that lucky
Fucking
motherfucker.
motherfucker, the Biff Sports Almanac. That is
And
my,
other people were like,
the
wouldn't it
same-
ruin it for you? I'm like, no, there's enough games that I would once in a while
Right,
try it
right,
out.
right,
you know?
right.
I'd still try my luck every game or
Just give
two.
me one sport.
Oh
You
my
just give
God.
me one sport.
That is
my
hilarious.
So that's it, because
That
I
is
would
hilarious.
use that to pick
I
games.
swear to God, that's what I was gonna say.
And you'd be low key. You'd be still under the radar.
This is why you guys need to watch on the YouTube because just to see our reaction to that happening is exactly why you guys got to watch the video to this episode.
That is like the holy grail. I've been
100%.
worshiping.
I
that
watched
thing
it again as an
and do
adult
that
with my
as a
girlfriend, and I
kid.
was like,
Yeah.
I need to not watch it.
Yeah,
Fucking Biff.
exactly.
Fucking Biff, dude. That's hilarious. So
Like fuck a hoverboard.
the
Give me the Sports Almanac.
the question I was gonna preface it with, which might have helped lead up to it, was if you could be any superhero, what would it be?
I'm a Spider-Man, Batman guy, but like, Batman's like way too emo for me now. I can't stand that shit, bro. Like this last Batman, I'm like, dude, like,
That's so funny because Batman's my favorite DC character and Spider-Man's my favorite. Marvel character.
those are my guys. But I'm
Mhm.
like, yo, like, smile, man. It's okay, bro. Like, why do you have to be so emo and down and shit?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, your parents died. Your parents died when you were 10. Get over it, bro. You're a billionaire now. They left you billions of dollars. It's okay.
You know, one weird
can
thing.
smile.
One weird thing is superheroes are great because of their villains. it's not always the superhero, which I've always found interesting because I'm such a like
You're right. What makes a great superhero
is a great villain.
is his rogues gallery of villains.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's why
the two
Spider-Man's
best
great.
rogue galleries of villains is Spider-Man and Batman.
Yep.
By far.
By
Like,
far.
hands down.
Hands down.
Like, you ask any comic book nerd, hands down. You know, I asked, can I tell you a quick Patton Oswalt story? So
Yeah.
I love Patton because I asked him this and he answered this question. So during the pandemic, he had a Zoom hour special. And part of it was you got to type in questions that he would answer live, right? And there's like, it had to have been over like 5,000 people watching this thing. And everyone was like typing questions in, right? So me knowing Patton Oswalt was a comic book geek, I typed in, was like, who had the better intellect, Batman or Spider-Man? Right? Just fucking around, right?
Yeah, seeing if he would answer.
Bro, why? I have the shit recorded. I put it on my Instagram. Within the first 10 minutes, he's like, all right, I'm going to start answering questions. And he's like looking through. He's like, and I'm watching this on my laptop, right? My girlfriend and I are watching this on my laptop. He's like, Sean Porter has an awesome question. Like one of the first fucking
And you're just like,
things.
whoa, that's my name.
I was like, what? And then he's like, who has the better intellect, Spider-Man or Batman? Like immediately he went to that one and Spider-Man.
Because of Spidey sense.
And because he didn't come from privilege. He's like Batman came from privilege. He probably went to private school. He had all the help and the resources.
Peter's
in the
got
world.
like the street smarts.
Like Peter's from Queens.
Yeah.
He grew up in a fucking 1-bedroom apartment. He had a fucking,
Like that's like Batman's my favorite. I mean, shout out if you're watching on the YouTube again. That's why you need to be watching. We got a 50th
I love Batman.
anniversary Comic-Con Batman pop over here. But one of the reasons I love him so much is because I love the Joker so much. And
Oh,
like
the
my
best film.
if you go to my Instagram,
best.
which hopefully you guys do, if you go to my Instagram, my bio literally is from the last Joker movie where it says I
Yeah,
used
yeah.
to think my life was a
Yeah, Todd
tragedy, now I
Phillips.
realize it's a fucking
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah.
And like before that movie came out, my previous bio was also a Joker quote, and
Yeah.
it's the first one from The Dark Knight, when he's like when he robs like the bank, and he goes what the fuck is the line? I'm blanking out, but
It was Dark Knight with the Joker when he robs the bank in the beginning of the movie, and then when he's talking to the bank manager.
yeah,
What
when
was
he's
it?
talking to the bank manager, and
Fuck, I'm blanking out on that shit.
I know I literally was my bio. I used to know it by heart. We've had a couple beers,
Yeah,
but
a few. You know what my favorite quote is? I use it all the time in that movie because I feel like it's analogous to all of my heroes. When Harvey Dent, when they're at dinner, and he says, "You either die the hero or live long enough to become the villain." I'm like, yeah, that's literally all of my heroes are all like, if you live long enough, you're eventually gonna become the villain.
I just remember the quotes. Thank you for giving me that
Yeah.
buffer. He takes the guy's mask off and he's like, "What do you believe in?" He's like yelling at him, you know.
Mhm.
And he goes, "I believe whatever doesn't kill you makes you stranger."
Yeah,
And I'm like, that used to be like my motto too,
Yeah.
where it was like this again, and it goes with comedy, and that's why the Joker was like, I had a bunch of shitty shit happen to me when I was growing up, and it was like you can either take it one or two ways. You know what I mean? You can either become a fucking
Yeah.
cynical piece of shit, or you can like be like, it makes you not take everything so seriously.
my thing is you either die the hero or the longer you live, the longer you look at life as very gray. It starts to become your morals and everything that you've experienced start to become very gray.
Yeah.
And then you live long enough to become the villain of some sort of way because shit starts becoming gray the older you get. Like, for real.
And that's the thing is like I think you met me like that was the nice thing about I think like I believe in fate at some point, and like I think it was like when I came out here was like the perfect time for me to come out here. I was like at my like best like comedic self, you know what I mean? Just like at like I definitely have room to grow, but it's just more of just like personally I'm like I was like ready to be a comedian, kind of thing where it's like I think you said to me before, you're like I can't even picture you doing these other things, you know what I mean? And
At
it's
all.
like that's how I feel at this point is like I'm not only fully committed to it, but I'm fully like, you know, I just am like. My girlfriend always says she's like the best thing about dating you is that you don't care about anything. You know what I mean? She said the best and worst thing about dating is that you don't care about anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like sometimes she wants me to care more, but also sometimes she's like, I'm glad you're not don't care about stupid shit. You know what I mean?
Shit don't face you.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah. No, seriously. Take the public school teacher. That's the example I'm going to use. Public school teacher comes in fresh out of college. You get your teaching degree. By the way, I went to grad school to get my I was going to become a teacher.
Dude,
I was literally going to become a teacher.
that's what I thought I was going to do. I was going to coach
my
football and be a teacher.
I was going to coach football and
Teach
become a
history.
history teacher. That was my plan.
We both said history at the exact same time. Yeah.
That was my plan. And I fucking dropped out. My mom
Couldn't
still
deal with
gives,
kids.
My mom still gives me shit.
I couldn't deal with kids.
Right.
Yeah.
And I wanted to like make money.
Sorry, teachers.
So public school teacher comes in, gets the degree. They come to this public school and wanting to change the world and full of hope and like, you know what? I'm gonna really make an effect on these kids. And then over time, you realize that the system is so fucked up that then you become jaded. And then 20 years from then, you become that jaded-ass public school teacher who's smoking a cig in the teacher's lounge, not giving a fuck, and you become the villain eventually.
It's kind of like
Over
what you say
time,
about
if
like
you live long enough.
It's kind of like what you say about jaded comics too. Almost.
That's what. Yes, exactly. If you live long enough, then you're like, fuck this.
100%.
What else you got for me?
Well, honestly, I think that
Best action movie.
Oh,
Favorite action movie.
yeah, I was gonna say actually I had two actually different questions.
All right.
So we'll go with your favorite action movie, and then I have one we can do after.
All right. God, there's so many good ones. People say, critics say, Die Hard is the best action movie.
Is
of
Die
all
Hard a
time.
Christmas movie? Yes or no?
I mean, there's a fucking Christmas tree in it,
It takes place during Christmas.
and it takes place during Christmas. So I don't understand. It's like it's simple. It was always simple for me.
yeah.
There's a fucking Christmas tree. Like, what makes it not a Christmas movie? That's what I was like. The people who are on the other side, like, what doesn't make it a Christmas movie? There's a fucking Christmas tree in it.
Yeah.
It takes place during Christmas.
No Santa, is that the problem?
Is that it? Is it because like they're thinking like
Hans Gruber is probably the best villain of all time.
dude,
Hans? I mean,
like
come on.
Right, seriously. Like
And,
yeah,
and
he's
just
one
the
of
name
best villains
Hans
of all time.
Gruber
Hans
is
Gruber.
just
Yeah.
comedic gold.
Yeah.
Alan Rickman, R.I.P.
Alan Rickman, man, he's the man. How is it not like why? Because it's not like A Wonderful Life because there's no Christmas message to it because
Yeah.
it's just a shoot 'em up.
Yeah.
That
I watched
on
it again the
back
other
of it.
day. Hilarious.
Do you know he was like literally like
Those
this-
guns are shooting 300 rounds and
Right.
like just no reload.
Yo, did you know Bruce Willis was like the 7th dude?
Really?
Like everyone passed on it. Schwarzenegger, Stallone,
Uh,
fucking Travolta, like every single big dude
interesting.
at that time passed on it, and then they gave it to the guy who's doing a show on ABC called Moonlighting,
That's hilarious.
Moonlighting Strangers,
didn't
and
know
it was
that.
the TV guy Bruce Willis, and he was like the 7th dude.
I didn't
By
know
the way,
that.
Bruce Willis was a bartender when my uncle was playing at the China Club in New York back in the day in the 80s. My uncle was the drummer, was a house drummer for the China Club, was one of the hottest clubs in New York, and Bruce Willis was a bartender there
Interesting.
before he broke in.
No,
John Goodman was the bouncer there.
dude, that's
So
another.
my uncle they came up together.
That's another.
That's the
That's another underrated guy right there. Is John.
John
Goodman.
Goodman, right? Fucking Die Hard. I don't know if you know what. Okay, best Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. For me, Predator.
Kindergarten Cop.
Kindergarten Cat, I know.
Get to the job.
Predator, like sci-fi and action, is almost fucking perfect. Like
Who is
that
your
movie-
daddy and what does he do? Get your toy and bring it back to the carpet. What is your favorite animal?
Dogs.
Dogs?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite breed?
I grew up with a Rottweiler because we're black, and
I'm about to. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to walk out of here
Why,
because,
did you grow up with Rott too?
dude,
My Rottie does
this
this, man.
this is deja vu from episode 1. I asked Ray the same question. Dog. What animal? Rottweiler. And I have like
You
this
grew
is
up with a Rott too?
dude. So my dad's house in Ohio, right?
Mhm.
The neighbor had 2 baby Rottweilers, right? Grow up to be monsters, right?
Monsters.
But they loved us because we knew them
Yeah.
since they were babies.
Mhm.
One day, the neighbor knocks on the door and he goes, "Hey, is this your turtle?" To my dad. My dad's like, my dad goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, my dogs were tossing it around." So this turtle had like teeth marks in its shell. We had this turtle for like 3 years, named Speedy. My dad just immediately goes, "Got you guys a turtle." Fucking goes do whatever the fuck he's doing.
Yeah.
We had this turtle for like 3 years, and so fast forward, I'm watching this like I explain. This is so funny you said this because I had this exact conversation with Ray. I can't wait till we all hang out again. We put it up on the TV. There was like this top 10 countdown. I was watching with my girlfriend. That was like top 10. It wasn't like beast dogs, but like that's basically what it was. Like top 10 like best dogs, beast dogs.
Yeah.
And we're going through the countdown, and Rottweiler wasn't on it. Right? We get down to like 2. Rottweiler's not on it. And I'm like, this fucking list is bullshit. It doesn't have Rottweilers on it. Like Rottweiler has to be on this list. Blah blah. It was 1. Rottweiler's 1.
Yeah.
And like I literally was having this
man.
conversation with like they literally are like the best combination of like they love you but they'll protect the shit out of you
Exactly.
and they'll
my-
fuck somebody up.
Up. My dog. R.I.P. Duchess.
R.I.P. Duchess.
Speaking of the Beast, favorite baseball movie of all time. I have 2 of them, but also favorite childhood movie growing up of all time. Sandlot. That's my fucking movie. And Major League.
Dude, I was just gonna say Major League because my dad was an Indians fan, so like Guardians. Excuse me. But my dad was like he was a Pittsburgh fan of every because my dad was from Ohio, but the city he's from in Ohio is closest to Pittsburgh of any city like where he's from. So Steubenville.
So he's Indians, not Pirates, huh?
So he was Steelers, Penguins, Steelers, Penguins, huge Steelers fan, but he was an Indians fan, not Pirates fan. Yeah. And yeah, so I was in love with Major League. Like,
fucking love that movie.
Greatest combination. I think it's the best. When people always say sports movies, everyone's always like, remember the Titans.
No.
You know.
Again, we're comics.
100%. So like that Charlie Sheen, that movie, just all
I can recite that entire the first scene when they go to that fancy dinner and Charlie Sheen has the cut off with the fucking tie and he's looking at the menu upside down.
Yeah, I mean,
he's looking at it upside down.
I can't read any of this
And
shit.
Tom Berenger turns it over for him. And Charlie Sheen's like, they serve chili dogs here.
I just love when he goes, Coach, my contract, and he just grabs the contract with his hand, puts it on the ground, just takes a piss on it. Yeah, it's like this is literally the best.
Every time my boy Jimmy and I, because he loves Major League too, every time we're at a fancy restaurant, if we go to a steakhouse or anything, we literally recite that entire scene. It was like, do they serve chili dogs here?
And just put it upside down.
Upside down and shit.
That's
Major
amazing.
Leagues, Sandlot. Yeah, those are my 2 favorite movies. Okay, sci-fi.
Ooh, Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Fucking sports almanac, dude.
Really?
What I would do
I mean,
for that sports almanac.
when you said that, I was like, I'm gonna say this, but I feel like it's so.
Bro,
absurd that
I was like, yes.
like I said, you guys gotta watch the video because I jumped out of my seat. We're gonna clip that. I gotta clip that.
Yeah, clip that.
Yeah,
clip that
we're
shit.
clipping that because I literally was like, I'm gonna say it, but I was like, it's so obscure. You might be like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's what I thought you were gonna say.
Fucking sports almanac.
Well, guys, I think that is.
Is that it?
I think that's the.
Are we
second,
done?
I think that's the second episode.
Bro, we can't just break it up into 2 parts.
I mean, right?
What are you talking about?
You'll be back very soon.
Yeah,
Again, I just want to say, Sean, thanks for coming on. That was a ton of fun. I hope you had fun. I want to have you on
course,
again
man.
as soon as possible.
August and I do this shit without microphones.
Yeah, this is what we do in comedy clubs. Wow.
Yeah.
While we're watching everyone
And then
do great.
And then do great. Yes, because
Yeah.
we support comedy comedians. Yes.
And
And then also talk about comedians.
follow Sean on I am Sean Porter. Is that what it is? I am Sean Porter.
Sean Porter. SEAN. I am Sean Porter on Instagram.
On Insta. He's
I don't have a TikTok.
either do I. We're gonna stay away from it because we're gonna try to make the YouTube shorts back, and
Let's hope so.
Yeah, we're gonna get rid of China, right?
You
Unless
see
you're from
that?
China watch.
The chairman of the FCC literally said he wrote a letter to Google and Apple telling them to take TikTok off of their app platform because it is literally the Chinese spyware. Is literally the Chinese government.
Yeah.
They have millions of passwords.
Yeah, it's
They have millions. They have all of our data. But you know what, though? We can't stop dancing on TikTok, so fuck it.
Yeah, so you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify. Sean, you have any parting words for the audience?
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. And Pittsburgh, we out. Love you, bro. I'll be there soon.
Sense of Humor TV, episode 2, out.
Peace.